Chapter 655, No Way Back. Chapter 655, No Way Back. Serene was hurt severely, as if he were skinned alive. Blood covered his body, and people could see even his bones. With his strangely vigorous body, a warrior at the same level couldn't cause him such damage even if he had used all of his power. However, this master acceptance ceremony was different. This kind of backlash was so dangerous that it could be compared to full-power attacks of a true God realm expert. At this moment, the essence chi of his body, the negative power, and the soul power of his soul consciousness were all supplied to the Sky Destroyer Divine Sword, which troubled him, preventing him from countering the change of his body. His power was decreasing, while the consumption demand was increasing. Such severe wounds and wisdom were inevitable. Shi Jian, Li Zhengrong, Di Shan, and the others surrounded him, a bloody body, to protect him. Bing Qing and Han Cui were sobbing. Tears filled their faces like a shower. Young Tian Emperor came over to support Serene. His body was still convulsing, as if his tendons and vessels were all broken. If it were an ordinary people, even if his soul were immortal, vitality would be taken from him, leaving him with a shriveled body. Only someone with a highly tenacious body and the immortal martial spirit like Serene could survive. People surrounding him all wore different facial expressions. Serene was now a bloody body. Vitality in his body was just a flickering light in the moor. Tendons and vessels in his body started to move like snakes. Gradually, his flesh started to grow back under some strange power. It grew little by little on the proportional skeleton, as his body was formed again. Ah! Li Zhengrong discolored, screaming, pointing at an exposed bone of Serene. Gold skeleton. His cry had wakened up many people who were sinking in pain. They all scrutinized, and then found that Serene's bones were like they were molded from liquid gold. Golden light shimmered strangely from them. Di Shan and Cao Qiudao couldn't help but look at Yang Tian Emperor. Yang Ji, can the immortal martial spirit of the Yang family turn bones golden like that? I have never seen anything so strange, asked Cao Qiudao. Yang Tian Emperor shook his head suspiciously. This isn't a feature of the immortal martial spirit, but I'm not sure what it is. The only thing we can confirm is that these bones are too hard. Golden skeleton. Golden skeleton. Strange glorious light sparkled in Li Zhengrong's eyes as he sank into his thought. After a while, he was struck, shouting, "The giant clan. The golden giant. No, it doesn't seem right. He doesn't look like a giant, right?" Everybody was frightened, and couldn't help but glare at him. As I know, when members of the giant clan reached the king god realm, their skeletons would turn golden. We call them the golden giant. Li Zhengrong explained, golden skeleton is the special feature of the experts from the giant clan. Besides them, I don't actually know any other clans with a golden skeleton. So, you think he is like the giant clan? Young Tian Emperor didn't know whether he should cry or laugh, and just shook his head. He doesn't seem like one, Li Zhengrong beamed a wry smile. However, it should be related to the giant clan. I can feel a strange energy fluctuation in his bones. Only the golden giants have this kind of power. Don't guess, Serene spoke up with a hoarse voice. When I was on the Cold Wind Island, I had visited a space crack. A golden giant was buried there. I got his golden marrow. After I refined my body, my bones turned golden. Everybody was frightened. It's really good fortune that you can add the golden marrow to your body. You inhuman. Li Zhengrong forced a smile. While they were talking, the utmost 8 Purgatory city had restored its quietness. The entire Silver City seemed to be quenched one more time. Each corner of the city now had the intimidating aura of a tremendous power. The immortal blood in Serene's body divided into 5 drops, suffusing a massive blood aura as he was using the immortal rebirth secret to grow his shabby body once again. All of a sudden, the triangle mark Bao Ao had left on his neck became so hot like burning fire, releasing an imposing energy. He couldn't help but cry. Serene frowned, using his soul consciousness to sense. "Kid, how are you doing?" Bao Ao's voice came from the triangle mark. After a while, a scarlet halo expanded from the mark, creating a vague image. Yan's eyes brightened, looking the images being projected from his neck. His complexion became solemn. It was the image of the allied army of the 5 clans, including the Demon Clan, the Dark Clan, the Corpse Clan, the Dark Spirit Clan, and the Ghostmark Clan. These 5 clans had gathered outside the perpetual night forest with dozens of thousands of warriors. A heavy pressure like a massive mountain slapped Yan's face from the image. It had almost suffocated him. Yan watched the scene, and a helpless feeling swelled in his heart. He had thought of getting away from this place. His fighting will seem to have vanished. They are the members of the 5 clans. Soon, we will enter the perpetual night forest and visit that ice and fire secret domain. Hey boy, I heard that you couldn't stay with the human clan. So, are you interested in joining our ancient Bao family and becoming one of us? Bao Ao smiled tenderly like a nice student. There was no evil energy surging from his body. At first glance, he appeared as a harmless man. Yan soothed his pounding heart, pulled himself together, and shook his head to deny the offer. Sorry, I have stuff I need to do. I don't want to depend on anybody. Bao Ao didn't get angry. He just nodded, okay, no need to hurry. I'll give you more time to consider. Yeah, you can see how strong the 5 clans here are. The images changed continually according to Bao Ao's words. The leader of the Dark Spirit Clan, Comrades of the Ghostmark Clan, Corpse Mount and Corpse Sea of the Corpse Clan, the 3 Yama Kings of the Dark Clan, and the dim halo they were protecting, all were visible. As the images changed, Yan felt his heart sink to the bottom, his face grim. You can continue to consider. The moment before you die, you still have the offer, Bao Ao chuckled, then cut the connection. The triangular mark on his neck disappeared, and so did the images. Yang Tian Emperor, Chao Qiu Dao, Li Zhongrong, and Di Shan were looking at him with strange expressions. Did you guys see that? Yan took a deep breath, asking with a solemn face. What? Asked Yang Tian Emperor. You guys didn't see it? Yan felt weird. We just saw a light shot out your neck, projecting some dim image in the sky. Then, we saw you mumble. Nothing else, Li Zhongrong said. Yang Tian Emperor and Di Shan nodded. Yan changed his visage. The 5 great alien tribes have started their massive-scale invasion. Perhaps they will come to the ice and fire secret domain shortly. And they may pass by our base here. Everybody discolored in fright. I saw the 3 Yama Kings, and so many warriors that could compare to human true god realm warriors. It's impossible to resist this force. Yan thought quickly to assess the situation. I'll activate the teleportation formation to the Cold Wind Island in the Endless Sea right now. Warriors under Nirvana Realm can go there directly. He had thought of returning to the Endless Sea. With the teleportation formation, it wasn't a difficult task. However, he also knew that Hades, Odie, Tian, and the other experts of the Demon Clan wouldn't spare the teleportation formations in the Endless Sea. So, he didn't do that. Besides the 3 Yama Kings, hotshots of the ancient Jia family had also come to the perpetual night forest. This meant the Endless Sea should be safe temporarily. That's why he decided to return. However, when he stood in the teleport formation, after his soul consciousness connected, Yan discolored in fear. Everybody was bewildered, but they all had a bad premonition. They are destroyed. Yan's eyes were dim and distressed. The 2 places that we can reach in the Endless Sea are destroyed. The space nodes are demolished. How about the Northern Gem Mountain? Chao Qiu Dao asked hurriedly. The same. Everybody else panicked. What should we do now? Defend to the last moment. Besides that thing, we have no other option. The entrance of the ice and fire secret domain. Yan Ku and Wendi's group of 100 human warriors had reached their destination. Yan coughed. As she was about to notify the guards, she suddenly got something, waving her hands. Scatter, quick! Right after that, warriors of the 7 ancient factions stormed out of the entrance of the ice and fire secret domain, which was in a tree trunk. The leaders of this group were the masters of the 7 ancient factions, Lin Meng, Nia Rua, Qin Gu Chuan, and Yun Hao. Dozens of True God Realm and Spirit Realm appeared abruptly. That scared Yen Ke and Wendy's team. Old Yen. Master Wen. Lin Meng was surprised, looking at the two seniors at the entrance. Why are you two here? The alien tribes want to eradicate human clan. They're gathering at the perpetual night forest. As the members of the human clan, of course, we are here to contribute our part, Yen Ke said with serious countenance. You two had crossed thousands of miles to here. We all appreciate your high notion of your duty. It's the good news for human clan. Lin Meng was grateful. Compared to you, some rotten B** stars have made people hate them to the bones. I regret I couldn't smash them into ashes immediately. Rotten. Wendy was astounded. Then, he said solemnly, are they the ones that have joined the alien tribes? Yes! Qin Gu Chuan shouted indignantly. Master Wen has met them. Wendy nodded, his face grim. On the way there, we found that they have built a city. Befriending with Monster Clan, such rotten traitors. Where are you going? Asked Yen Ke. We're going to kill those traitors. We want to keep them from joining the alien tribes, Lin Meng shouted. Is it okay, as we know that the 5 alien tribes are gathering in the perpetual night forest? Yunhao frowned. Then we should be hurried. Qin Gu Chuan snorted, then smiled at the other two. Old Yen, Master Wen, what do you think? We have no objection, Yen Ke said faintly. That's good. Lin Meng's eyes brightened. She thought that even God wanted to help them, as Yen Ke and Wendy were here. Chapter 656, Tian Odie. Chapter 656, Tian Odie. From the city wall of the outer city, Long Ju and Long Ing looked at the immense sky above the center of the city. They were watching lightning strikes forked in the sky like a bunch of worms, with serious facial expressions. Surprisingly, that kid has overcome it. Surprise filled Long Ying's small and cute face. Grandpa, you said that if he could get over it, you would help him. Are you sure? How about the 7 ancient factions? We just try to solve the mess. If we can't do that, I think this kid has more abilities to preserve the flickering light of human clan. Long Ju pondered, then said, I think it's time to talk with the master of this place. Grandpa, the 7 ancient factions force is superb. Lin Ming's group isn't made of nice people. They won't listen to others' advice. If you want to go with them, of course, Lin Meng will never agree. Long Ying's beautiful eyes sparkled as she was worried. Today, human clan is about to meet the most dangerous catastrophe. One wrong move can lead to the end of human clan. If Lin Meng's group doesn't want to wake up and want to carry out this war, I can only stay on the opposite side to them. Long Ju sighed, not knowing how to express his idea. I hope they would consider the whole picture. I think this city isn't simple. Even if the 7 ancient factions attack it, they can't break this wall. Is this city as dangerous as you said? Long Ing was scared. I have some knowledge of the ancient formations, but I can't understand the structure and operating mechanism of this city. The energy inside is really earth-shaking. I don't know how that kid could create this city. The only I can confirm is that if the True God Realm experts attack here, they will be hurt badly. Long Ju said in a low tone. Long Ing kept quiet. The outer areas have the weakening and aging fields which oppress the spirit and deprive people's power. Even my realm is restrained. When Lin Ming's group gets here, I'm sure their realms will be decreased by 1 or more minor realms. Facing so many barriers and formations here, coming to the center of the city isn't easier than fighting with alien tribes. Long Ju's face was heavy. Perhaps the city will be the main fort of human clan in the future. But they have befriended alien tribes? Long Ing was suspicious. In the future, humans will never be the sole ruler of the Grace mainland anymore. Multiracial development is the new trend. I'm not sure this kid could see this trend or just grasped up to the step. However, I acknowledge his wise move of putting aside racism and creating a good relationship with other races. This is the only way to survive. If we keep the prejudice of the past, human clan will go extinct. So, the 7 ancient factions force is going on a wrong way. At least it's outdated. Different times require different changes of understanding. Dare to dream. Dare to do. Or else, the other clans would expel you. I'm going to the Ice and Fire secret domain this time to persuade Lin Meng's group to give up the prejudice of the past and consider how to live in peace with the other races. But I know, this is really difficult. Lin Meng's group has conservative thoughts. I'm afraid it's hard to convince them. At this moment, if we have a pioneer better than them, naturally, I have to help him. While Longju was talking, his face stiffened as the energy surged from his body like a tornado, plunging directly into the center of the city. Inside the city, many barriers and formations were triggered at once. Beautiful light shot out. Twisted evil fields appeared that could weaken the power and age people's vitality. This made the city become a dazzling spot. Many areas were sparkling with blinding light. Longju looked like an ordinary old man, but when he released his aura, it could activate all the barriers of the city. In the center of the city, Serene had recovered his body, but his essence chi and soul consciousness were still weak. Suddenly, he sensed something abnormal. His face changed as he shot up from his seat. Yang Tian Emperor, Li Zhongrong, and Di Shan were frightened. They couldn't help but shout, "So strong! Who is that?" Bing Qing Tong paled. Her voice trembled. Such surging energy, even Lin Meng can't control this. Since when we have such an intimidating existence in our city? Shi Yan's face darkened. He squinted, then used his soul to connect the utmost 8 Purgatory city to detect the cause that stirred up his entire formation. The old man in the outer city. Everybody discolored. "Hey little buddy, can we talk a little bit?" A clear, generous voice echoed through the city, just like thunder reverberating everywhere. "Not good." Yang Tian Emperor pressed down the anger. "It's him. When that old man got in here, I had sensed him, but I couldn't find any strange features. I didn't expect that he could conceal that much." Yang Tian Emperor couldn't see his realm, which meant his realm was much higher than his, at least more than second sky of true God realm. At this moment, the utmost 8 Purgatory city could only resist the first sky of true God realm. The mighty power of the old man had frightened everybody as they felt an incoming danger. At this moment, he doesn't have malicious intent, Shi pondered and then said, "I'm going to meet him to see what he wants." "Don't." Yang Tian Emperor and Li Zhongrong tried to stop him. However, while Shi was talking, a formation glittered under his feet. Immense light covered his entire body, and Shi disappeared instantly. Shortly, a halo expanded in the outer city where Longju and Longing were standing. Shi emerged in the light. Longju smiled, then nodded to Shi. "It's you. I didn't think that you're the real master of this place. What's your name?" Shi. I have heard this name. Haha. You've been to the Dead Soul Mountain Range, and you've defeated Liefeng. It's you. It's a surprise to me. And you are? Shi face was incomparably serious. He had prepared discreetly, and in case this old man had malicious thoughts, he would urge the barriers around him to kill him at any cost. It was lucky that the utmost 8 Purgatory city had been activated. Otherwise, he didn't dare to come close to the senior. The aura of this old man made him irritatingly anxious. This feeling had appeared when he was facing Xianming. Even his confidence was struck to somewhere far away. He didn't even have the intention to struggle. Xianming was the real owner of the perpetual night forest, the greatest senior at the peak of level 9 of the monster clan. He had 1 foot entering the level 10. It could be said that he was the strongest existence Shi knew. He didn't expect that the old man Yang Tian Emperor had let into the city had reached such realm with formidable power. "I am Longju. I didn't deceive you guys," the old man smiled. "However, not many people know my real name in the Divine Great Land. They call me by the other name. Perhaps you've heard about me before." "I wish to know," Shi talked with a serious countenance. "Qi Tian Odie," Longju smiled. Shi was struck. Light shot out from his eyes, his face astounded. "It's him." He was the most mysterious recluse in the Divine Great Land. It had been several hundred years, and nobody had ever seen him operating in this continent. His position was higher than Lin Meng, Yun Hao, and Qin Gu Chuan. His age could be compared to the monster clan. The legend about him was always told in the Divine Great Land. Even the leaders of the 7 ancient factions had to show respect mentioning him. Haha, seems you've heard my name. Longju smiled, but his face was nonchalant. I don't have bad intentions towards you guys. Quite the contrary, I have a presumptuous request. I wonder if you are interested in it or not. Precursor, please do tell. If I can do it, I won't deny, Shiryan said cautiously. Your city doesn't look bad. I want to be part of it. Longju stroked the dragon cane in his hand, smiling strangely. The alien tribes are about to invade us and I have no place to go. I want to find a shelter, and this city looks good to me. Shiryan was surprised, looking at him deep into the eyes. He kept silent for a while and then asked, the ice and fire secret domain is supposed to be safer. Why you don't want to go there? If I didn't visit this place of yours, I'm afraid I would go to the ice and fire secret domain. But now, I want to stay here more. The ice and fire secret domain's the narrow space outside the Grace mainland. It's not my homeland. I feel staying here is better. Longju smiled and explained. That's why I told you my identity. I don't want you to misunderstand me, thinking that I have some wild plans or something. Haha, I wonder if you will grant me my wish or not. Shiryan frowned as thoughts seethed in his heart. Long afterward, he cracked a smile. Precursor, you're in this city already. Yeah, I'm in the city, but you guys haven't trusted me yet. I'm just afraid that you will be distracted by me at the critical moments. Longju continued neither fast nor slow. Of course, I understand your worries. At this moment, I'm not going to the city center. After this wave's over, if the city isn't broken yet, I think you will understand me more. Why do you need to be that cautious? My grandpa thinks that you guys aren't bad. That's why he wants to help you. You do think that we're going to harm you, don't you? Longing snorted indignantly. No, I think he doesn't bear bad intentions. Shiryan could finally relax. He knew that a little girl like Longing could never have a cunning heart. From her attitude, he could confirm that Longju didn't have malicious thoughts towards them. Finally, he could relax high-tense nerves. I just want to make it clear about my identity. So later on, when you figure it out completely, you won't think that I have bad intentions towards you guys. Besides, I will prove my attitude. Longju waved his hand indifferently. Little buddy, I know you're busy. I won't trouble you for more. The 7 ancient factions will arrive around 6 hours later, I assume. You should be prepared. What would you do when the 7 ancient factions attack this place? Shiryan was startled. Then, he asked with a sharp look. I will help you defend the city. However, I won't kill people of the 7 ancient factions, said Longju. What if I kill people of the 7 ancient factions? Perhaps I might not see it. Thank you. Shiryan made a deep bow to him and thanked gratefully. Then, he turned around, his figure flashing before he disappeared completely. Although he didn't know why this most mysterious recluse of the divine great land wanted to help him, he finally could put this worry aside, exhaling in relief. This guy is a careful person, Longing pouted. I thought he would take us to the center of the city. Quite the contrary. If he did that, I wouldn't appreciate him more, Longju smiled. His relatives and friends stay in the city center. If he carelessly let us in and if I did have evil plans, it would create a bloody disaster. He has to worry about it. Yeah, his deed shows that he's a careful and meticulous person, even though he's still young. It's a good virtue, especially at this moment. He needs to be careful taking each step. It would help them survive longer. Chapter 657, Inextricable. Chapter 657, Inextricable. Lin Meng, Yan Ku, Wen Di, and more than 800 warriors of the 7 ancient factions had arrived in front of the Silver City. This time, 7 ancient factions had sent almost all of their hotshots. This force was stronger than any clan. The moment they saw the city in the forest, they were all startled. Although they had prepared, this shining city appeared gloriously under the light of the sun, moon, and stars, which made them stunned for a while. That kid still has many tricks. He has tried to build a whole city. Niero couldn't help but compliment. Beasts have helped him. When we passed by this place, we saw the monster clan leaving the city. Wen Di snorted. They don't even understand the difference between races. Such ignorant brats. They stay with Monster Clan. They should apologize to our fellows who died by the alien tribes. Lin Meng and Qin Guchuan nodded. Should we notify them first? Yuan Jiang frowned. It's not reasonable if we start the battle right away. It's too brutal. He Gem and you, we don't need your fighting union to join this operation. You don't need to care about it, sneered Qin Guchuan. Yu Wangjiang's face was cold. Anger flashed in his eyes as he snorted. Behind Yu Wangjiang were Bei Si and Bei Di of the Banner family, Bai Gusen of the Aok family, Lao Li and Kai Yi, and Lung Danqing, Shuang Yuzhu of the Ice Emperor City. All of them had complicated looks on their faces. Bei Di and Bei Si sighed, shaking their heads, as they didn't know what to do to save the situation. Lao Li wanted to say something, but he got his mouth shut because Bei Si had thrown him a glare. As people here were all strong warriors of the 7 ancient factions, their realms and cultivation base weren't enough for them to voice up. Kai Yi's face was as if she had clusters of dark clouds on it. Her mind was a mess of tangled threads. She wanted to say something to Shi Yan, but she knew it was useless at this moment. This is the path they have chosen. They can't blame the others. The pagans have slaughtered around the divine great land. They know it already. They know their purpose is to eradicate human clan, but they still did that. They're getting themselves on the dead road, Bai Gusen said indignantly, his face dark and gloomy. Kai Yi knew her position. She understood that she had no means to help Shi Yan. She could only let sadness nibble her. In this crowd, Long Danqing and Shuang Yuzhu felt the most anxious. They had received the news from Lai Feng. Apparently, Bing Qing Tong and Han Chui were in the city. It was just a wall, but they were a whole world apart. They wanted to get in there, but they didn't dare. This feeling hurt them a lot. Standing behind Yun Hao, Tang Yuan Nan, Ji Mu, and Yuing were discussing something in a low tone. Zhu Yi, the city master of the wonderful stone city of Spirit Treasure Sect, had come. His face was complicated. He was hesitant, as he was struggling to make up his mind. Xia Qingho, the headmaster of the Xia family, stood next to Lin Meng. His face was cold, while his eyes sparkled with light. However, he didn't say anything. Among the 7 ancient factions, many people had a good relationship with Shi Yan and Yang Tian Emperor. Some didn't agree with Shi Yan's group, and the others wanted to settle the dispute, but they were helpless. They could only watch the change in silence. Standing behind Yan Ku, He Qing Man and Chu Yanqing had a dark countenance. They exchanged looks, since they didn't dare to talk about Shi Yan. They were afraid that people could take it as their weakness. Inside the Silver City, Shi Yan stood on the formation I. He looked tired. People who should come have come. We shall go. Yang Tian Emperor nodded with a serious face. They all knew that this fight would determine their death or life. Once they started it, they would have to do their best. Little Yen, can your body endure this? Yang Tian Emperor was worried. Once they attack us, you have to operate this city. With your current situation, do you think you can do it? To make this utmost 8 Purgatory city accept its master, Shi Yan had consumed a lot of his essence qi and soul consciousness. Although he had pellets to help him recover, he couldn't fully restore himself shortly. At this moment, the essence qi in his body wasn't half his peak strength, and his soul consciousness remained not more than 1/3. Once they engaged in the battle, he had to focus on using his soul consciousness to control the entire city, and he had to spend a large amount of essence qi to stimulate the formations and barriers. If his energy weren't enough, the power of the city would be reduced. If he put forth everything to resist, he would drain his essence qi. His body would shatter, and his soul power would be consumed completely. If it accelerated to that point, he would die before the city got broken. No problem, Shi Yan cracked an odd smile. Once the war happens, people will die. It's easy for me. If he hadn't had the mysterious martial spirit, he would never have had this confidence or mentioned that he could resist to the end. The existence of his mysterious martial spirit could help him solve the biggest problem easily. When people died, he could always take in their essence qi. Once he could resist the first stage, waiting until the mysterious martial spirit filtered the energy and send it to his essence qi halo, everything would be solved easily. For his consumed soul consciousness, he could use the soul-gathering pearl to supply the purest soul power. That Tian Odie. Do we need to keep an eye on him? Tian asked. He contemplated for a while and then said, Li Ji and I can stop him for a while. Do we need to prevent him? No need, Serene shook his head. Don't know why, but I feel that this oldie will be on our side. Haha. I have no evidence, but I believe in my assumption. Until this moment, Yang Tian Emperor, Tian, and the others had still kept an eye on Tian Odie. His name in the divine Great Land was too resounding. Any warrior on this continent had heard about how intimidating and mysterious he was. No one could guess his intentions. So, when Serene said the old man would help them, they didn't believe him. Guys. However, a head-splitting voice reverberated from the outer city. Longju's sound was like the drumbeat that could shake people's hearts. His voice came to every corner. Serene and Yang Tian Emperor were discussing the important matters in the center of the city. They were all struck. Lin Meng and Yan Ke's group outside the city was frightened, looking at the imposing city walls. Longju's slender figure appeared in the corner of the city. He held a dragon cane. His face was wrinkled, outlining a pair of muddy eyes. He looked senile, as if he had 1 foot in the grave already. Tian Odie. Tian Odie. Old Long. That's Old Long. Why is he in the city? Instantly, many surprised screams and shouts arose from the formation of the 7 ancient factions. Many people exclaimed when they recognized Longju. However, they were all suspicious. Lin Meng, Niero, Yan Ke and Wen Di, the true God Realm warriors, became tense. They all took 1 step forward. From a distance of 1,000 meters away, they bent their body to show their respect. In the divine Great Land, calamities had happened many times. Sometimes, the 7 ancient factions had their hands tied. They had to ask for Longju's advice to overcome the tough times. Longju had an important position in the human clan. He was the true warrior that everybody respected. A long time ago, when big troubles had happened on the Dead Soul Mountain Range, at that time, Lin Meng, Yunhao, and Niero weren't as strong as today. Longju had helped them to control the Dead Soul's evil lair. Several events like that had happened. Longju had done his best to save the human clan. Although Lin Meng, Qinggu Chuan, and Niero were people with noble positions, they had to conduct the etiquette of the juniors to their seniors in front of him. People who didn't know Longju got his identity right when they heard the others shouting. They couldn't help but discuss with each other quietly. They were all startled. Yunhao was struck. As he thought that they could have a chance to overturn the situation, he hastened to scream out, "Old Long, why are you in that city? I know Old Long always has a broad vision. Do you have any new instructions for us?" "I don't dare to give you guys instructions," Longju said with a merciful countenance, his tone soft. "The alien tribes are gathering outside the perpetual night forest. They are about to march here. Every minute you get out of the secret domain is the minute you may counter danger. Once the alien tribes come, without the special defensive features of the secret domain, everybody will face fatal risks. I know the resentment between you and the owner of this place. However, they are members of our human clan. In such special times, I do not expect you to waste our clan power in a civil war." After he said that, everybody from the 7 ancient factions started to bustle. Many people, who were racist, screamed to show their anger. They said that Longju was wrong this time. The number of warriors who agreed with Longju was just 1/10. People who had a good relationship with Serene had recognized the meanings behind Longju's words, which was to consider the whole picture. They agreed with him, but their voices were sunk in the angry shouting of the others. Looking at them from the city wall, Longju couldn't help but feel his heart heavy. He knew it was impossible to make it work. Although Lin Meng, Niero, and Yan Ke respected him, they weren't his subordinates. If his opinions tilted to Lin Meng's side, perhaps they would treat him with greater respect. But if he went against their wishes, this respect wouldn't be like it should be. He was just an old man without a big force as his background. Although his realm was mysteriously tremendous, he was just 1 level stronger than Lin Meng's team. Without a stronger force to subdue them, Lin Meng's team would never stop. Indeed, after Lin Meng, Niaro, and Qin Guchuan discussed with each other for a while, Lin Meng replied to Long Zhu. Her voice showed her respect, but she wasn't so tender. Old Long, how could you talk like that? They are joining the pagans. They've killed many people of human clan, including members of the Heaven Temple. Even a true God realm expert. They showed us that they have an agreement with the alien tribes. They want to destroy our remaining human bloodline. We have to punish them. Traitors should be executed. Kill them. Take revenge for our follows. Many enthusiastic members of the Heaven Palace, the Pure Land, and the Martial Spirit Palace were shouting. Their face reddened with rage, as if Shuryen had killed their fathers. Although no one knew who had killed Ning Duquan and Qin Guchuan hadn't discovered who did that, he had poured this pot of sh*t on Shuryen's head, who seemed to be a suitable man for the job. But Shuryen had done that indeed. Chapter 658. Then we fight. Chapter 658. Then we fight. Long Zhu knew that he alone wasn't enough, his face regretful. He knew the racial discrimination on this continent would never change, even if tens of thousands of years had passed. Also, Lin Meng, Niero, Guanhu, Niero, and Lu Miao were stubborn. Even Yen Ko and Wen Di, the two recluses, couldn't see the whole picture. How many people could do that? Moreover, it was true that the pagans had slaughtered humans everywhere, leaving the divine Great Land in miseries. Only Long Zhu alone wasn't enough to settle the racist matters. This is why he chose to go the same way as Shuryen. He thought Shuryen's way was the main trend of future, the only way for humans to survive. As he couldn't make them think the other way around, Long Zhu wouldn't waste his effort anymore, shaking his head in regret. He stood on the city wall and didn't say anything. Sorry, Old Long. For the peace of human clan, for our fellows who had fallen, we have to do what we have to do. Lin Meng bent to him, but her eyes were determined. The crowd behind her was stirred up. They were about to take action. They shifted as if they couldn't control their bloodthirsty desire anymore. Right at this moment, Shuryen appeared on the city wall, looking at the 7 ancient factions on the opposite side. He smiled, his face tired. You guys came. His look shifted between Tang Yuan Nan, Xia Qingho, Bai Zhenseng, Ji Mu, Bei Si, and Bei Di. He felt so bitter. Shuryen boss, Lao Li and his brother mouthed in the crowd. They were upset. Their voice sank into the sea of angry shouting and screaming. Zhu Yi and Tan Yuan Nan's group wore heavy visage. They shook their heads begrudgingly under his look. Some other people like Bai Gusung couldn't hold their snorts with malicious complexion. When Shuryen looked at Xia Qingho, he was like a wooden log, not having any emotion on his face. Shuryen couldn't see his real feelings. From a formation next to him, Yang Tian Emperor emerged. Frowning at the force, including Xinlin's group, who used to belong to the Yang family, and Xia Qingho's group, the ones Yang Tian Emperor had brought to the divine Great Land, he laughed oddly. Good. I know many people here. Haha. I have never expected to see them as enemies. But now they are. It's true that no one can see through the others. Under his gaze, Xinlin, Dong Jin, and the other traitors of the Yang family stooped their heads, as if they didn't hear or see anything. A beam of shame flashed Xia Qingho's dull face. He sighed, looking at Yang Tian Emperor from a far distance. Yang Ji, if you return now, everything will be all right. Yang Tian Emperor revealed a pathetic sadness, smiling. Return? What wrong deeds I've done to return? Should you or I return? Have you ever thought about that? Xia Qingho shook his head, his face dark. He didn't talk more. Their dozens of years of friendship in the endless sea vanished after this small exchange. I, Yang Tian Emperor, pledge that who have ever received my favors, if they join the battle today, I will burn their bones into ashes at any cost, said Yang Ti Emperor coldly. A headmaster of a small family in the wild place dares to talk arrogantly here. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. Qin Guchuan sneered. You don't have a tomorrow. After today, everybody in that city will no longer have their names uttered in this world. Young Tian Emperor cracked a smile, his face ferocious. Well, I'm not sure about that. Today, who wants to attack us, stay here. Who remembers our favor and doesn't want to engage in this fight, please step back for 3 miles. This is for me to know who are my enemies and who are my friends. Yan's face was cold and still as water. He looked at them coldly, his voice calm. We will retreat 3 miles. I've said before, I just came here to watch. We are not going to join this operation, Yunhao laughed frankly, waving his hands. The disciples of the Radiant God cult behind him, including Tang Yuan Nan, Ji Mu, Yu Ying, and the others, followed his words to separate themselves from the crowd. Right at the beginning, Yunhao didn't want to join this fight. He took around 10 warriors of the Radiant God cult with him to this place. Yuan Jiang frowned, throwing a glare at his people. Our fighting union is different from the other forces. Although I'm your hegemon, I won't force you. If you want to fight, stay. If you don't, you can leave. Pausing for a while, Yuan Jiang waved his hand. Warriors of the Celestial Emperor, come with me. We'll leave this place. The fighting union consisted of 7 cities, including the Celestial Emperor City, Fighting Emperor City, Flame Emperor City, Thunder Emperor City, Wind Emperor City, White Emperor City, and Ice Emperor City. The matters of the union would be discussed and settled by the Committee of the 7 City Masters. That's why he couldn't direct the fighting union's way like Yunhao did to his cult. The Celestial Emperor's warriors retreated 3 miles as Yuan Jiang had ordered. Shuang Yuzhu and Long Danqing of the Ice Emperor City took their mild girls with them to withdraw. Bei Si and Bei Di of the Banner family from the White Emperor City considered and then announced their retreat. They didn't really stand on the opposite side to Yan. However, Bai Zhensing, who used to favor Yan a lot, chose to say. He talked to Kai Yi, that kid saved you. You can leave. Kai Yi felt upset, leaving with Lao Li for 3 miles away from the site. Yan has favored me, so I won't join this. Zhu Yi of the Wonderful Stone City notified Lu Miao of the Spirit Treasure Sect, then brought Lin Ji and Luo Meng's team to 3 miles away. Xin Lin, Dong Jin and the others, the former members of the Yangs and now the members of the 7 ancient factions, stood still with their heads lowered. Xia Qingho kept an indifferent face as if he didn't hear what Yan said. He stood still. From the city wall, Yan felt warm. He smiled as he was watching the others moving. He didn't expect that some people still remembered their friendship and didn't stay on the opposite side, even at this moment. About Xia Qingho, Bai Zhensing, and Xin Lin, he had prepared himself already, so he didn't feel despondent. However, he now had a new recognition of people's hearts. At the critical moments, one could see who one's friend was. Lin Meng and Niaro didn't say anything. Their faces were ugly as they were trying to press down their anger. They thought that after this operation, they would solve those people. They also wanted to see the uncertain factors in their organization, which would tilt to the other side. Later on, they could find the right guys to kill. After the 7 ancient factions team divided into 2 sides, Lin Meng coldly glared at her team. Who wants to leave with them? People who believe in me, please retreat for 3 miles as well. At this moment, Tian Odie also rose his voice after a long time of silence. Beyond his expectation, a small group, who wasn't afraid of Lin Meng's and Niaro's force, detached. Most of them didn't belong to the 7 ancient factions. They were from some other smaller forces of the Divine Great Land. To survive, they had come to the Ice and Fire secret domain and stayed with the 7 ancient factions. Many of them had received favor from Longzhu, while the others had a blind belief in him. They thought that Longzhu was the only sage of this land, and that they would believe him unconditionally. This group wasn't smaller than the team that had divided after Yan's words, which was beyond everybody's expectation. Yan was startled, looking at those people with a surprised face. At this moment, he finally knew how great Longzhu's influence was in the Divine Great Land. Longzhu made the others forget their fear for the 7 ancient factions' revenge. They resolutely decided to believe in him. Lin Meng and Niaro's group put on grim countenances. They had underestimated Longzhu. Eventually, they recognized his tremendous influence, which had reached a frightening level. Lin Ming's team felt a little bit regretful. They regretted giving Shurian that much time. They shouldn't have let him talk this much and just attacked right away when they had just arrived. This could have prevented many unexpected events. Good. Shurian shouted furiously, his voice sounding brutal. Crazy light sparkled in his eyes. I ask you one more time. Do you want to exterminate us this time? No doubt. Lin Ming beamed a faint smile. Niero, Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, Lu Miao, Yan Ko and Wendy nodded with solemn countenances. Then we fight, Shurian curled his lips. His voice became calm like never before. Many people couldn't stand that. Suddenly, strange formations started to appear on the city walls under his feet. Furious explosions reverberated everywhere. At this moment, the Silver City acted as if it had turned into an ancient ferocious beast which had been awakened from the bloodiest, hardest battlefield, opening its blood mouth towards everybody. Lights intertwined on the formations, shooting out with the rumbling noise of formidable energy. 7 light columns bigger than the ancient trees shot out like dragons soaring aloft from the lake, bringing an intimidating piercing power. The light columns were like dragons entering the earth, lunging into the formation of the 7 ancient factions, leaving 100 meters large holes in the ground. Warriors who let the light touch them vanished instantly, leaving nothing. It looked like they had been pushed into the ground, buried there forever. Everybody discolored in fright. No one had ever thought that Shurian could be that resolute and cold-hearted. He had attacked first without any hesitation. The extremely mournful and painful screeching and screaming arose from the 7 ancient factions all of a sudden. Warriors who had just lost their friends and relatives were enraged. Flame of anger was burning in their hearts. People who had retreated 3 miles could also feel the tremor from the ground. They shivered, their faces ashen. Instinctively, they wanted to urge their power to withstand. At this moment, they all felt lucky that they had made the right decision not to stay in that muddy puddle. Even Lin Ming and Niero were astounded, as if someone had kicked their A**ses. No matter how hard they had imagined, they couldn't predict this formidable power of the utmost 8 Purgatory city. The energy the 7 massive light columns carrying made these true god realm feel that even their lives were threatened. So malignant. Long Ying covered her mouth and shouted. Her small, cute face paled in fear. Her beautiful eyes were distressed. Chapter 659, Headshot. Chapter 659, Headshot. If he confirmed they were his mortal enemy, Shurian would never show them mercy. Once he launched his attacks, they would be the full-force ones. After the 7 light columns shot out, he didn't hesitate to connect his soul consciousness with the utmost 8 Purgatory city. The second attack surged immediately. Clusters of clouds that looked like they were made of crystal shone gloriously. Each cluster was as big as a door, rumbling like thunderclaps, crossing the city walls to attack the 7 ancient factions people. Lin Ming and Qin Gu Chuan's team were woken up. They put aside the astonishment and started to counter. Her small hands exposed from the sleeves, waving. Pieces of willow leaves fluttered in the air. Green light flooded the entire sky, as beautiful as emerald, releasing a mesmerizing halo. It was the sacred level treasure of the Pure Land, Leafiness Ode, made of 9,000 leaves of the 10,000-year-old willow and other hundreds of precious materials. The willow leaves expanded into a magical array. Its vitality surged like a vast area of green leaves, covering their heads. It was so thick that even sunlight couldn't pierce through. Light of thunderclaps shot out from the city walls, bombarding the green layer. Dazzling sparks scattered everywhere like the most blazing fireworks. Enirua, Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao wore an angry face. As they were enraged, the storage rings on their fingers sparkled, releasing their secret treasures. A tenacious large gray cluster of cotton appeared above Enirua's head. Threads shivered, creating a magical array to dissolve the thunderclap in the sky. It was Enirua's treasure, condensed from the murderous aura of the 36 exterminating caves. Murderous aura arose from the cotton threads, enlarging the cluster, covering the area. Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao took out a jade panpipe, a beating drum, and a bronze bell, turning into 3 different light beams above their heads. All then darted toward Serene on the city wall. The 3 true God Realm warriors joined hands in an attempt to kill Serene with one strike. In their heads, Serene had become the most dangerous character. They thought that when Serene died, this city wouldn't be able to perform its defensive functions. At that time, they could break it easily. Each city, which was established from formations, barriers, and restraints, always had a control center controlled by soul consciousness. Apparently, Serene was the control center of the Silver City. Once he fell, Tian Emperor's group could never have the power to promote the best power of the Silver City. That time would be the time of doom of the Yang family. Lin Meng's team could see it. Their strategy was correct indeed. However, they had underestimated Serene's power and the Silver City's intimidation. The jade panpipe was unpleasant to the ears. The sound was so sharp that it could pierce through people's souls. Under the urge of a true God Realm warrior like Qin Guchuan, its power was enhanced, which had strengthened its ability to snatch people's souls. Raging drumbeat rumbled. Each beat entered Serene's sea of consciousness directly. If an ordinary true God Realm warrior got hit with such a strike, his sea of consciousness would explode, his soul consciousness would scatter, and his soul would perish on the spot. The bell tolls rippled in the dazzling light, expanding like rising tides. It brought the torrential power of the vast sea. This kind of pressing power could smash a warrior's body. Qin Guchuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao were the true God Realm experts. When they accumulated their power for an instant kill attack, even the true God Realm warriors like Di Shan and Li Zhengrong could perish. But Serene wasn't afraid of them. The attack wave of the jade panpipe and the drumbeat had pierced through people's sea of consciousness. They were the soul-class secret treasures. To other people, this kind of attack was much stronger than physical attacks. However, using soul attacks to deal with Serene was the worst strategy. Serene was calm, gathering his energy. His soul was firm, and his still body was like a massive rock bearing the 2 attacks. His host's soul wiggled, stirring his sea of consciousness a little bit. Flames of the 9 Serenity's soul-devouring flame were released, cleaning all the soul attacks entering his body. The only thing he was afraid was the bronze bell of Lu Miao. Waiting until the light ripples of the bronze bell dashed towards him, he became more solemn, extending his hand to touch the wall on his left. A formation shaped like a lotus was triggered. From the center of the lotus, translucent lotuses which looked to be made of glass radiated dazzlingly with a furious pulling force. The lotus was like a mouth that suddenly opened. From the city wall, it dashed forward, swallowing each ripple of the bronze bell. However, after the lotuses took in the energy of the bronze bell, they exploded one by one. During their explosions, the attack ripples of the bell were dissolved. The ground of the Silver City shook several times, but it was nothing significant. Everything was normal. Serene didn't sneer or mock. While he was trying to dissolve the attack of the 3 true God Realm warriors, he released the soul-gathering pearl. Many threads extended, rolling the soul-gathering pearl, making a circle above people's heads. The soul power of many warriors who were struck dead by the 7 light columns was pulled into the soul-gathering pearl like a whale drinking water. Seizing the chance, Serene urged his mysterious martial spirit. Within 3 seconds, he had taken in a large amount of essence qi. He was shaken, and his acupuncture point swelled immediately. At this moment, Serene cracked a big smile. If you want to break the city, you should try harder. With that sort of attack, I advise you not to waste your time. Get back to the ice and fire secret domain. Don't let the pagans kill you and end up dying in vain here. Then, his body sank into the city wall, as if he had melted into a puddle, disappearing into the wall. The utmost 8 Purgatory city kept its quietness. No more brutal surging force or tremendous attacks shot out from everywhere. Lin Meng and Niarua were still controlling their secret treasures, creating the light defense to prevent the next wave of attacks. Qin Guchuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao felt as if they had been slapped. Their faces were grimaced, and their eyes were sinister. In front of everybody, leaders of the 5 forces had joined hands, But they couldn't kill Yan or leave a hole in the silver wall. They had let Yan retreat easily. This dispirited them. Too arrogant. If this kid isn't killed, he will be the biggest danger to the human clan. Qin Chuan was like an enraged hound. He rubbed his hands brutally, panting as he was talking through his gritted teeth. We must attack them harder. Lin Meng, and Iroha, Guanhu, and Lu Miao nodded. Flames of anger burned in their hearts, arousing their ruthless intentions. From 3 miles away, Yun Hao and Yuan Jiang couldn't conceal their fright. They looked at the Silver City, which looked to be made out of iron and steel, and didn't say anything for quite a long time. Before they had gotten here, no one had thought that this Silver City was that tough. They couldn't imagine Yan's strange and evil tricks. The Silver City could easily dissolve a powerful attack of the 3 true God Realm warriors. They didn't know that Yan could dissolve most of the soul attacks. They thought that Yan's mighty power had depended on the utmost 8 Purgatory City. Master Yun, you said. Yan's considered the people of the Radiant God cult. And he has cultivated the star execution of the Radiant God cult. I assume the method to construct the city is also from your sect, eh? Yuan Jiang contemplated for a while and then asked him in a low tone. Yun Hao wore an odd face. He shook his head with a forced smile. He does cultivate the star execution. However, it is just a part of his power. He has many tricks. Even I can't understand him. Yuan Jiang pondered. Later on, he beamed a smile. I think our decision was right then. I think, if they want to break the city, they will have to shed quite some blood. Yun Hao said with a stiff countenance. Never underestimate Lin Meng's group. When they get stirred up, they could burst out with tremendous power. Moreover, they have divine secret treasures they haven't used yet. All of them are holding back their real power. Yuan Jiang's face was heavy. He sighed, yeah, right? If Lin Meng and the others are enraged and use the divine treasures, I'm afraid the city will be broken quickly. From behind Yun Hao and Yuan Jiang, Long Danqing and Shuangzhu had cheerful faces. They watched everything with admiration as strange lights sparkled in their beautiful eyes. After they had arrived, these two were still worried that Yan wouldn't have any power to defend, and that Lin Meng's team of the 7 ancient factions would break the city right away and destroy his soul. In the Divine Great Land, Lin Meng's team of the 7 ancient factions represented the invincible power. Although Yan was strong, he was still young. He was at 1 realm lower than the others. Such a gap had the 2 women worrying about him. When the battle began, they didn't dare to watch. However, it was beyond their imagination that once Yan took action, it was as reverberating as thunder. He had caused Lin Meng's group a big loss. However, the women were more astounded that Yan could stand still under the joined attacks of Qin Chuan and the other 2. Moreover, he had dissolved the attacks easily and retreated into the Silver City. These changes were like a pellet given to them, making them relaxed. Zhu Yi, Bei Si, Bei Di, and the others were astounded. Lights sparkled in their eyes as they felt complicated. The power Yan had brought out had shocked them deeply. At this moment, they recognized that deciding not to join this battle was the best decision they had made in the whole life. Tian Odie has a wide vision. It's lucky that we listened to him. Otherwise, we would be dead bodies now. The small forces that retreated because of Long Ju all felt frightened. They also felt lucky that they hadn't mingled with Lin Meng's group. The intimidation the Silver City showed them spared them no more hesitation. Now, they just wished to stay as far away from the trouble as possible. Chapter 660. Offer sacrifices to the Divine Weapon. Chapter 660. Offer sacrifices to the Divine Weapon. Perpetual Night Forest's peripheral zone. A magic lozenge mirror was hung above the 5 great clans. It was projecting the fight between Yan's team and the 7 ancient factions. Many hotshots of the alien tribes were watching the scene with serious faces and strange complexion. Bao Ao was smiling under the magic mirror while playing with his fingers, which were shooting beams of black light, pouring into the center of the magic mirror. With the triangular mark on Yan's neck, he could project the entire scene there without missing any details. Whichever era it be, human clan could never change their bad behaviors. They always have civil wars. What a strange race. As Komaros saw the fight cease in the magic mirror, he laughed evilly, his face dark as usual. Many members of the Ghostmark clan, the Dark Spirit clan, and the Demon clan were sneering, as they thought it was such an interesting play. Humankind was about to be cleared. However, at this most critical moment, the two big forces of this race couldn't join hands, but tried to kill each other. In their eyes, nothing was more interesting than this scene. In every clan, maintaining the tribe was the most important matter. All the resentments would be put aside at the time they needed to cooperate to deal with the external enemy. Every clan's survival was related closely to their union. Only unity could bring them the chance to survive. Whoever dared to provoke a civil war would be the enemy of the entire race. Quite the contrary, humanity was about to be extinguished, but they were fighting against each other. From the alien tribe's point of views, it was unimaginable. Everybody shouldn't rush. We just need to wait here, Bao Ao smiled warmly. Wait until the result is clear, then we will march there and slaughter them all. This will be the most accurate decision. Leaders of the alien tribes grinned, as they all approved of Bao Ao's decision. That guy, yeah, that young man called Serene. Bao Ao smiled. I want to keep him alive. He's related to our demon clan. So, you can't kill him. Jie of the ancient Jie family, an antiquity family of demon clan, had his eyes brightened. He revealed a brutal smile and then said, Bao Ao, are you sure? Is that kid from our demon clan? He has the mark of the oldest family of demon clan on his forehead. I don't even know the profile of that family. You can see how old it is. Anyway, he hasn't received the family's inheritance yet. Otherwise, he wouldn't stand with the human clan, Bao Ao explained with a smile. Jie was so excited that he couldn't hold his laughter. Our demon clan does have plenty of outstanding warriors. He's just a young man, but he can make the human clan pay a bloody price. Not bad, I like this kid. After we clear the humankind, I have to drink with him. Jie, I've chosen him first. You want to snatch him from me? Bao Ao's eyes became malignant. The smile on his lips was as sharp as a saber. So what? Do you think I'm scared of you? Jie didn't show that he was weaker. If that kid receives the inheritance of the oldest family, do you think he will listen to you? Bao Ao, don't be so arrogant. When that kid receives the inheritance, he will thrive. I'm not sure he would be weaker than us at that time. Bao Ao was surprised. He contemplated for a while and then smiled. Oh, it's true though. So, before he grows, I will make him accept me. I think everybody will have his chance at that time. I want to see if you can offer him something better than me. Jie laughed contentedly. On one side, Serene was having the most strenuous battle with Lin Meng's group. But on this side, the headmasters of the two strongest families of the demon clan were planning to steal the young man to their side. Master, he's our friend. We won't attack him. In the Corpse clan formation, Corpse Mount and Corpse C kept silent for a while and then talked to Corpse Chief in the big coffin. Corpse Chief's strange voice arose. The two great chiefs of the demon clan want to protect him. Do you think he will die here? Corpse Mount and Corpse C were surprised. They kept silent again. No! Komaros shouted, that kid must die. He's the mortal enemy of our Ghostmark clan. I have to kill him. That brat must die. Yama King Abi shouted from the Dark Clan. Bao Ao and Jie became grim. The two leaders of the demon clan raked their vicious eyes over everyone else as a bloodthirsty aura started to diffuse. Before we destroy the human clan, if someone dares touch my demon clan's men, we shouldn't talk about anything else. The battle with human clan, you should think about whether we would want to join it or not. Jie grinned fiendishly like a bloodthirsty beast showing its sharp fangs. He wanted to start a fight here first. Bao Ao nodded. Demon Clan was a clan that always covered their members' shortcomings. At the same time, they did appreciate the new powerful generation of their clan. Experts of the previous generations should prepare the cultivating path for their next generations. It was the rule that they had always kept in mind. If they hadn't confirmed Shiyan's identity yet, they would never give him even a glance. However, as they had found that Shiyan had the bloodline of the oldest family, they immediately considered him the new blood of the new generation. and they instinctively wanted to protect him. The reason why the demon clan could maintain their mighty force until today was because all of their experts had followed this rule. Whenever a new generation of the demon clan was born, they would be nurtured to slowly progress until they become the new leaders of the clan. This rule kept the demon clan strong from the past until present. As Bao Ao and Jiaji had shown their attitude, the Ghostmark clan and the Dark clan didn't dare to talk more. The demon clan force was mighty among the 5 great clans. Under Bao Ao and Jiaji, there were countless evils and beasts. At least, none of the other 4 forces dared to counter the demon clan face to face. No matter which era it was, demon clan was one of the strongest forces. They covered their members' shortcomings. They were always hostile and ready to take revenge, and they had a crazily strong power. If they didn't have to do it, no clan dared to provoke the demon clan. Thus, although Comoros was hostile, when Bao Ao and Jiaji expressed that they would protect Shuryen, his clan had to weigh pros and cons. They stopped their verbal attack immediately. What if he isn't a member of the demon clan? The leader of the Dark Spirit clan snorted coldly. Whatever you want to do with him, we don't care. Bao Ao laughed. All right then, we should capture him first. Then, we will certify his identity. We just need to test once and for all, the man said. Bao Ao and Jiaji nodded, showing that they had no objection. The premise to protect Shuryen was that he must have the demon clan's bloodline, which would make the other 2 leaders take care of him. But if they could prove that Shuryen wasn't one of them, of course they wouldn't care about his life anymore. And they would kill him first. A young man full of potential, if he wasn't their family, he must die. This was also one of the rules of the demon clan. Outside the Silver City, Lin Meng, Niarua, and Qinggu Chuan wore a grim face. They discussed something and then decided that they would use a tremendous force to break the city. We shouldn't show any mercy. We don't have much time. Guys, we need to finish these traitors fast, so that we can retreat to the ice and fire secret domain before the pagans come, Yanku suggested. Everybody agreed with her tactfully. Lin Meng started first. The original universe returning cauldron, which used to appear in the meeting hall in the ice and fire secret domain, emerged from Lin Meng's small hand. The original universe returning cauldron was the divine weapon of the Pure Land. Although this treasure was powerful, Lin Meng had never used it carelessly. As original universe returning cauldron appeared, energy immediately seethed like the immense ocean, overflowing from the cauldron like a mighty energy river. This fall of energy torrentially rolled into 49 flows of red light, which looked like 49 giant dragons meandering towards the Silver City. Each flow of this red light could kill a warrior at the first sky of True God realm effortlessly. They swarmed and attacked the Silver City together. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Barriers, restraints, and formations on the city walls glowed. They furiously took in the energy from the top-grade essence crystals and precious mineral jades in the foundation of the city to create hundreds of defending layers to resist the rumbling attack of the original universe returning cauldron. Countless dazzling waves of light rippled from the city, while the imposing Silver City suddenly trembled like a tipsy man. It looked like it was about to collapse. Inside the city, Shuryen, Yang Tian Emperor, and the others changed their visage as they could feel the city getting unstable. They couldn't hide their heavy feeling. The power of a divine weapon was intimidating indeed. It was urged by Lin Meng, a warrior at the second sky of True God realm. Only this kind of antiquity formation like the utmost 8 Purgatory city could resist such an energy attack. If it were the city like the Ice Emperor City or the Wonderful Stone City, it would have collapsed with only one strike like that. Be careful. People who don't have a responsibility retreat to the center of the city. The defensive force of the outer city is limited. It's built to neutralize the attack energy of the divine weapons. It doesn't matter if they can break the outer city. Once they dare step in, what awaits them is more perilous. Shuryen ordered quickly. He was calm and solemn while continually releasing the soul consciousness to supplement the consumed part of the formations. Hearing him, many warriors staying in the outer city retreated into the center of the city using the safe passage he had created. Let me boost more power, Niarua said after pondering for a while from outside the city. Niarua had a 3-meter-long bone sword stabbed in his waist. While talking, he lifted his tunic and grabbed the sword. When his hand touched the sword, a malicious, murderous aura diffused immensely into 36 flows of dark smoke, which could disorder people's soul consciousness. The ghostly spirit sword used the ghostly spirits of the 36 exterminating caves as the body. After taking in murderous aura for 10,000 years, the sword was quenched. Ghostly spirit sword was the halidom of the 36 exterminating caves, a divine weapon. Niarua's soul had fused with the ghostly spirits. He had used his blood to feed them. He had to keep the sword on his body so that it could drink his blood to grow stronger. When he took out the ghostly spirit sword, screaming and screeching of the ghostly spirits arose from his body, as if they were bloodthirsty demons who could smell blood, which made them want to wolf down everything. Chapter 661. The Perpetual Light That Never Extinguishes. Chapter 661. The Perpetual Light That Never Extinguishes. Eventually, the ghostly spirit sword was taken out of Niarua's body. During this process, Niarua had to endure the pain like someone was tearing his intestines. His face was distorted so much that it didn't look like a human face anymore. Every time he took out the ghostly spirit sword, he had to pay with his blood and flesh. If it weren't the critical time, Niarua would never use the sword. This divine sword harmed his body brutally. The ghostly spirit sword flew out while screeching. 36 ghostly spirits with hazy gray wings and tails dragged along the sword. 36 objects tore the sky, thrusting towards the Silver City. The ghostly spirits ceased in the air, releasing their powers altogether. 36 different murderous flows struck on ghostly spirit sword. The ghostly spirit sword was like a light stabbing directly into the Silver City. All barriers, restraints, and formation were pierced. Puff! The city wall that was as rigid as hard stone was jabbed. The sword appeared in the outer region of the city. Different from the original universe returning cauldron, which attacked the entire city, the ghostly spirit sword had aimed at only one location. The power gathered at the sword tip could easily pierce through the hardest defense. Lin Ming's group was shaken. Niarua screeched in extreme pain, his face paled. 36 ghostly spirits got through the hole created by the sword, screaming and howling, entering the outer region of the city. 36 gray shadows, each longer than 100 meters, carried the Een Ghost, Blood Ghost, and Evil Ghost. They started to wreck the formations and barriers in the outer region of the Silver City with their intimidating powers. Yan's face changed dramatically. In his sea of consciousness, the inner world 5 devils roared and shot out, turning into 5 tangible demogorgons attacking the 36 ghostly spirits. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. The hollow ghostly spirits and the 5 demogorgons entangled. Shortly, the inner world 5 devils got hurt badly, as they couldn't endure the attacks by the spirits. Yan felt hurt. He hastened to call the inner world 5 devils back to his sea of consciousness. The 36 ghostly spirits were the condensed murderous aura from 36 exterminating caves of the Devil Valley. They were the evilest existences in the world. They had been developed for more than 10,000 years, which were something the 5 devils, the phantom Yan had created not so long ago, couldn't resist. The ghostly spirits cried with the high notes that could stab people's souls. They flew around the outer city, wrecking many barriers and restraints. 36 ghostly spirits were like 36 horses pulling the ghostly spirit sword everywhere. Ghostly spirits couldn't break the formations and barriers, but they could pour their powers into the divine sword, using the sword to wreak havoc everywhere. The ghostly spirit sword taken out from Niarua's body had brought out a destructive power that nothing could withstand. Yan was battered with it. Retrieve. The storage ring on Yan's finger glowed gloriously. The soul-gathering pearl shot out, releasing its mighty soul suction force towards the 36 ghostly spirits. All souls without an entity would be included in the soul-gathering pearl's attack range. Yan wanted to take the ghostly spirits that way since it always worked. However, he was wrong this time. The soul-gathering pearl had released a might suction force that could affect any kind of spirit. However, these 36 hollow ghostly spirits had become one with the ghostly spirit sword. Each time the soul suction force of the soul-gathering pearl could pull the ghostly spirits towards it, the ghostly spirit sword would pull them back. The ghostly spirit that the bead attacked would be pushed away, out of the bead's attack range. The 36 ghostly spirits didn't have a body, but the ghostly spirit sword was a real object. They were combined into one solid union to make up each other's shortcomings, as if the user had calculated the situation before. They had minimized the effects of the soul-gathering pearl. The soul-gathering pearl couldn't do anything. It could affect the spirits, but it couldn't work because of the ghostly spirit sword. The 36 ghostly spirits continued to break the barriers and formations inside the city. At this speed, they would destroy all barriers and formations on the city wall shortly. Without the support of the barriers and formations, as long as Lin Meng used the original universe-returning cauldron to attack one more time, the outer city would be smashed. At this moment, Shi Yan finally realized that the 7 ancient factions weren't easy to deal with. Their profound assets weren't something a young man with a few years of cultivation could predict. Shi Yan didn't assume the signs of defeat would come that quick. He had lost his first layer of defense. At this moment, some low-realm warriors were still in the outer city. If the walls were broken, they would be exposed. The others could kill them easily. Li Feng'er's group was still there. Shi Yan was worried. However, at this moment, Long Ju frowned from the outer city. The dragon cane in his hand was stirring. A 300 meters, long cedar red light column shot out from the dragon cane towards the 36 ghostly spirits. Long Ju pulled the cane, and the light fastened the gray wings and tails that connected 36 ghostly spirits and the divine sword. He forcefully pulled, and the dragon cane pounded heavily on the ground under his feet, cracking a hole with a loud explosion. The cedar red light column was pulled down by an invisible hand. 36 ghostly spirits and the sword were pulled down altogether with the light column, as if someone were pulling them with great resentment. Shi Yan could relax his tense nerves. Long Ju's attack was stronger than he had expected. He had stopped the evil divine weapon ghostly spirit sword. The cedar red light he had shot out from the dragon cane tied and squeezed 36 ghostly spirits and the ghostly spirit sword with an incomparable power. The sword couldn't move or break anything else. The most mysterious Odie of the divine great land had really lived up to his reputation. He was unimaginably strong. "What are you waiting for? Get your men out of here," Long Ju shouted. Shi Yan was struck. He hastened to urge his people. "Warriors under Spirit Realm, retreat to the city center, quick." While he was talking, dazzling passages appeared, extending to the deeper place in the Silver City. Low-realm warriors like Li Feng'er didn't hesitate. They flew fast towards the city center. "Thank you." Seeing his people retreating safely, Shi Yan bent down to show his sincere appreciation. "No need to say thanks, little buddy. Can my granddaughter get into the city now?" Long Ju smiled nonchalantly. "I think I've proven I'm trustful." Shi Yan didn't say anything, continually nodding his head. "Littling, you go to the city center. It's dangerous here. I'll go find you later." Long Ju stroked Long Ying's hair and said tenderly, "Grandpa, be careful. Lin Meng's team won't treat you with respect anymore. They will attack you at their best," said Long Ying worriedly. "Don't worry. I understand. I know that if I join the side, we can never get along again." Long Ju smiled. Of course, he wasn't afraid of that situation. Outside the city, Nia Rua seemed to be hit hard. He spurted out blood, his face grimaced. He shouted hoarsely, "Old Long, you helped them. You did help them." The ghostly spirit sword, and he had a soul connection. Each ghostly spirit was like his eyes and ears. He could see what Long Ju had done, so he knew who had attacked him harshly. The leaders of the 7 ancient factions had the same resentment at this moment. They couldn't help but shout at Long Ju on the city wall, their faces filled with rage. "Old Long, you want to destroy the flame of our human clan. You will be the sinner of the human clan for thousands of generations." Yan Ku hissed. Her wrinkled face convulsed like a viper having someone step on its tail. From now on, Long Ju will no longer be the sage of the human clan. He's the common enemy of the entire clan. Lin Meng shouted indignantly, her face grim. If the flame of human clan extinguishes, you have to bear this responsibility. Wendy cried. Longju's countenance was indifferent. He looked to the far horizon from the city wall. The light of hope of human clan isn't on your side only. In my eyes, this city represents our future. And you're the outdated tide that would be discarded. Your thoughts and point of views are so old-fashioned. You don't want to recognize the trend. You will be the energy supplied for our human clan's flame of hope. Longju was enraged by Lin Meng and Qin Guchuan's team. You coarse old man. You and I are mortal enemies. Nia Rua scolded, giving Longju no respect. I pledge that I will burn your bones to ashes. If you have the competence to do that, come here. Longju smiled faintly. He stepped away from the city wall, talking to Shiryan. Are you well prepared? Once Lin Ming's group starts the attack, this wave will be more powerful. How long can your city resist? Not really long, Shiryan smiled. He looked exhausted. At this moment, his acupuncture points were filtering the energy. His essence chi had been consumed a lot. If he couldn't supply the essence chi shortly, let alone the outer city, he couldn't even control the city center to perform its best. The outer city is the first layer of defense. The fight will actually take place when they get into the city, Shiryan contemplated for a while. I need time. Give me 1 hour. After that, I'm confident to defend the city. I will try to save 1 hour for you, Longju pondered. Anyway, you have to ensure that, as long as you are alive, you have to treat my granddaughter well. Shiryan was struck. His face became complicated and heavy. Old Long knew. If Longju were all right, with his cultivation base, who could hurt Long Ying? If he said so, it meant he wasn't so sure about this battle. Although I'm 1 level stronger than them, they are a group of 7. They have at least 3 divine weapons they haven't used yet. Longju finally showed a forced smile, shaking his head. But I will try my best to seize 1 hour for you. Shiryan bent in front of him with deep respect. Remember, the flame of human clan can't be extinguished. No matter how you will be in the future, you have to leave the inheritance for the human clan, shouted Longju all of a sudden. Shiryan shivered, then nodded heavily. Old Long, please don't worry. As long as I'm alive, the human clan won't be over. Okay, you should go. Longju waved his hand, signaling Shiryan to leave. Afterward, he appeared again on the city wall, facing the 7 true God realm warriors alone. His face was merciful, but the energy fluctuating from him was wild and ruthless. Chapter 662. 5 Elements Primitive Realm. Chapter 662. 5 Elements Primitive Realm. The Perpetual Night Forest's Edge. Bao Ao was watching the battle in the Silver City projected on the giant magic mirror. His face was solemn, while respect rose in his heart. With Longju's participation, they could resist Lin Meng's and Niaro's attack temporarily. Longju had failed to settle the dispute between 2 sides. However, the 5 great alien tribes had witnessed his effort. Human clan still has some sages. Longju's worth a wise oldie who has lived for so long. Not only he has an intimidating competence, but he could also see the whole picture. It's not easy to do that. Jie also nodded. We shouldn't hurry. Longju's cultivation base and real competence aren't less than any one of us. If he wants to kill himself together with us, one of us will have to bear that fatal danger. Clansmen of the Dark Devil clan, the Ghostmark clan, the Dark clan, and the Corpse clan kept silent. Longju's power had surprised them. Even the attacks of Lin Meng and Niaro had a tremendous impact. The alien tribes recognized that it wasn't really as easy to uproot human clan as they had thought. This city's tough to break. Human clan still has some geniuses indeed. If this clan unites, we will find it strenuous to eradicate them. Komaros slammed his brows together. We should wait until their fight comes to the most drastic time. We will go there to clean the mess. He's worth the bloodline of our demon tribe. I have found that I like him more and more. Jieji laughed strangely. He rubbed his chin as he was considering what he should offer Shiryan later to make him become the member of his ancient Jie family, the freshest flow of power for the new generation of this ancient family. Inside the Silver City, Yan sat neatly, closing his eyes. He was checking his body, feeling the changes in every acupuncture points. The essence chi he took from outside of the city was being filtered massively. However, his essence chi halo had been consumed to a great extent as well. His soul consciousness scattered in the sea of consciousness like countless invisible threads, connecting to each barrier, formation, and restraint in the utmost 8 Purgatory city. He was consuming energy each second. When his sea of consciousness dried, without the energy of soul consciousness to support, he would have to use his own soul power. The soul power was the power of his life. If he spent it all, it also meant that his flame of life would be extinguished, and his life would come to an end. The inner world 5 devils got hurt, so they were now dormant in his sea of consciousness. They couldn't provide him energy to resist further. Mia Ro's ghostly spirit sword was really terrifying. It was worth the name of the evilest divine weapon in the entire region. If Longju hadn't helped him at that critical moment, Yan would have had to spend more power. While contemplating, Yan waved his hand to pull the soul-gathering pearl. Yan sent a beam of soul consciousness into the pearl and took some beams of pure soul power to his sea of consciousness in order to generate more power for his soul consciousness. The soul-gathering pearl had purified a big amount of soul energy, but Yan had used them for the Creator's divine pond. That pond required the constant supply of purest soul energy to operate its magical effects. Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, Bing Qingtong, and Han Shui could break through successfully thanks to the crystal-clear soul power of the soul-gathering pearl, which made the pond work normally. Before the fight, the soul-gathering pearl didn't store much of soul power. It couldn't provide soul energy sufficiently to him. Thus, he needed to seize the time. And Longju had given him a rare chance. Tian Odie stood alone atop the city wall, in front of the furious gazes of Lin Meng's team. Holding the dragon cane, his hands were moving, making magical symbols and hand seals. Each hand seal was dazzling. The large ones were as big as a mountain range, while the small ones were like a door. They all carried pure energy, arraying neatly like natural wills. They formed a thin, visual layer around the outer city. This thin layer was shining with many colors, as if it were created by dozens of rainbows. Although they were beautifully glorious, people would be sunk into them if they looked at it for a while. When Longju made the hand seals, the aura on his body was fierce and stubborn, with an abundant murderous intent. Countless ancient-styled patterns appeared on the thin, dazzling layer. People could see green foliage grow here and there, generating more mysterious lights. Those lights then tangled with each other, portraying a diagram of flying birds and swimming fishes. Gradually, a background of mountains and rivers was formed. That thin layer was like an imaginary world, with 5 elements power moving, mountains, lakes and rivers, flying birds and swimming fishes, luxuriant green foliage and giant trees. 5-element primitive realm. Yen Ke cried with a solemn countenance. She slightly discolored. This is one of his divine weapons. He got it from the foreign land. Originally, it had no power. He has put the 5 elements' power into it from the 5 elements' space. This old man has wandered to many strange places in the continent, and he's collected many magical items, which helped him form this 5 elements primitive realm. When Dee's mood became heavy, you shouldn't enter it no matter what. Inside the 5 elements primitive realm, he's the sole god. He can control anybody who is dependent on an element. In that place, he can affect many types of heaven and earth powers. The power we possess will lose its effect. Yen Ke and Wen Di were like Longju. They were all recluses living in the divine Great Land. They used to talk with Longju, so they knew his 5 elements primitive realm. How to deal with it? Lin Meng took a deep breath, trying to press down the anger in her heart. She had always considered herself the genuine leader of the human clan in the divine Great Land, a representative for the future of humanity. She deemed that when Longju arrived at this place, he would contribute to support her in dealing with the tough challenge of the alien invasion. However, everything had gone beyond her estimation. Longju, the support she had assumed, had stood on the opposite side of her, supporting her enemy. This big contrary had enraged her. She had thrown the respect she had for Longju to hell. Right now, she just wanted to kill him to prove that her decision wasn't wrong. To break a realm, we need to dissolve its energy source, Yan Ke contemplated and then said. To deal with the 5 elements primitive realm, there's only one way, neutralizing the power of the 5 elements. Without the energy supply, even if he knows many power Upanishads, he won't be able to use them. At that time, this realm will vanish. All right, Nyaro shouted with a malicious face. When you attack that realm, I will try my best to control the ghostly spirit sword to trouble that old dog. Don't worry, I will disturb him so much he can't totally concentrate on the realm. You guys should seize the chance and break that realm. Longju had hurt him badly, which had inflamed the rage in his heart. He didn't want to remember any favors the old man had given him anymore. His murderous aura started to surge. Lin Ming nodded, throwing her glance at Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao. Shall we? Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, and Lin Ming nodded. Elements move. Lin Ming extended her hand, pointing to the void. 5 flows of radiant red light shot out from her fingers, hitting the original universe-returning cauldron. The massive cauldron pressed down rumblingly. A pressure of 1,000 meters high mountain came from the cauldron. People then saw many clusters of cloud drifting over, just like a fairy scattering flower petals. Different kinds of heaven and earth energies turned into countless beams in the sky. The clouds absorbed them all, making each cluster of cloud as heavy as a mountain. They fell like collapsing mountain, falling on the 5 elements primitive realm. Dozens of rivers on the layer Longju had condensed suddenly became alive. Torrential seething sound arose. The rivers became real, surging violently, crossing and merging with each other to create an immense sea. Rumbling explosions echoed from the heavy clouds, pressing the massive pressure on the Silver City, hitting the thin layer brutally. The vast sea on the layer seemed to turn into a giant mouth that would never be satisfied, swallowing the clouds. At this moment, the ghostly spirit sword struggled to escape the restraint of Longju's cedar red light column. It burst out with the tremendous murderous aura. Evil energy shot out everywhere, while fire sparks were fluttering. Qin Gu Chuan, Guanhu, and Lu Miao exchanged looks. They were no more hesitant and started to attack immediately. Guanhu touched his forehead. A magical sparkling small tree grew from his glabella. This tree seemed to be made of 5-colored crystals as it shone with a dazzling light. This tree wasn't big, just around 1 meter tall. It had many longan-sized fruits. Each fruit bore a kind of power Upanishad, with distinctive surging waves of energy. This was the martial spirit fruit tree, the divine treasure of the martial spirit palace. Rumor said that it had grown from the seed of the life fruit tree of the martial spirit palace in antiquity time. At that time, the life fruit tree was a famous divine weapon which could bear the magical life power. It could even magically revive a dead person. However, the martial spirit fruit tree didn't have that miraculous effect. The life fruit tree's seed could grow into the martial spirit fruit tree. When a warrior who didn't understand a power Upanishad ate a fruit of the martial spirit fruit tree, he could receive a martial spirit. He just needed to cultivate to grow his new martial spirit. Anyway, martial spirits granted from the martial spirit fruit tree weren't really outstanding most of the time. However, during the recent 10,000 years, this tree had borne some special seeds, the tired soul martial spirit fruit for instance. These fruits would be soon absorbed by the young elites of the martial spirit palace. Guanhu took out the martial spirit fruit tree, using his thought to manipulate the 10 fruits to make their energy seethe, turning the essence power Upanishads and dashing forward. The energy of heaven and earth disordered, and even the 5 elements primitive realm of Longju was affected. Its energy seemed to be oppressed, unable to be promoted to the max. Lu Miao's sleeves flashed. A dark gold boat flew out, bobbing and then entering the 5 elements primitive realm, falling into the vast sea. Water in the sea started to drain away right after the small boat touched it. The small boat seemed to be able to absorb all kinds of water, no matter it was real or illusory. As long as it had the water power, the boat could affect them all. The pressure Longju had to bear doubled instantly. Chapter 663. Leave the rest to me. Chapter 663. Leave the rest to me. Guanhu's martial spirit fruit tree, Lu Miao's gold battleship, and Lin Meng's original universe returning cauldron were activated at once. Longju's 5 elements primitive realm seemed to struggle under this combined force. At this moment, Niarua was continually urging his ghostly spirit sword, manipulating the sword to attack here and there. Longju felt tired of trying to fend them off. Longju was solemn. He was making many hand seals to gather the 5 elements' power to supplement the consumed and damaged areas and balance the realm again. His 5 elements primitive realm had the 5 elements power as the energy supply. Once this power lost its balance, this realm would generate some dangers he couldn't estimate beforehand. When he had reached the peak of True God realm, he had continually used the essence chi in a special simulation to convert the 5 elements power, pouring it massively into the 5 elements primitive realm to maintain the balance of this realm. Yan hadn't recognized the pressure from the outer world. After he took in an amount of crystal clear soul power, new soul consciousness energy flooded the sea of consciousness. His soul was supplemented, increasing his control power of the utmost 8 Purgatory city. However, the loss in his essence chi halo hadn't recovered yet. He was still waiting for the mysterious martial spirit to filter the essence chi. At this critical point in time, he still maintained a clear and firm state of mind, as he didn't dare to distract. If he let the negative feelings affect his mind, he would never be able to strengthen the utmost 8 Purgatory city again. What surprised him a lot was that this time, the essence chi filtering process didn't generate many negative feelings. This was thanks to the time he had spent to madly refine the beast's bodies. Every time he did the refining work, his mind and spirit were always calm, and his soul sublimated. It brought him an indescribable benefit. He suddenly felt lucky that he didn't rush to use the Creator's divine pawn to enter the True God realm when he had reached the 3rd sky of Spirit realm. Stabilizing the realm was the task a warrior had to take care of very carefully. Otherwise, Mara would appear, making himself his own enemy. The conscience was the biggest enemy of a warrior. If he couldn't get over the challenge in his heart, the danger it generated would be tremendous. If it weren't serious, it would be just a matter of time for bedevilment to happen. If it were serious, his soul would shatter directly. His right deeds had helped him keep his mind during this filtering process. This was the big advantage from his mad forging of treasures. Without that tranquil time when had refined his soul, at this moment, he couldn't have been able to stay still to wait for a long while without making his soul disorderly. Outside the Silver City, Lin Meng, Guanhu, and Lu Miao had put forth everything using the divine secret treasures to deal with Longju, which affected the balance of the 5 elements primitive realm. They wanted to break this magical realm. Longju was indeed inexplicably intimidating. Under the siege of the True God realm warriors, he didn't show that he was in a disadvantaged situation. Although his 5 elements primitive realm was distorted a little bit, it stood firm, covering the front of the Silver City. Yanku and Wendi hadn't taken action yet. The relationship between them and Longju wasn't shallow. Although they took different ways, they couldn't use fatal strikes to attack each other. Thus, they didn't join the team to break the 5 elements primitive realm. That's why Longju could still resist. His realm hadn't been destroyed yet. Qin Gu Chuan, Lin Meng, Guanhu, and Lu Mia looked at the master of the Heaven Temple with cold faces. I don't have any divine weapon. Sai, if I use them, I don't have anything else. Currently, I have only 2 pieces. I want to keep them to deal with the pagan tribes. Qin Gu Chuan beamed a forced smile, hauling the extinguishing divine mine from his storage ring. The divine mine was fist-sized, with many pores. As soon as it appeared, the divine mine thumped like a heart. This was a dangerous weapon of the Heaven Temple. The extinguishing divine mine was created from 7 types of strong wind, with almost 1,000 different kinds of auxiliary materials, and had an intimidating power. Heaven Temple consisted of 7 families. Each family guarded a subterranean cave from where strong winds rushed out constantly. They had collected the strong wind from 7 caves to refine the extinguishing divine mine. It took 1,000 years to collect the wind and refine the materials to produce one piece of extinguishing divine mine. Different from the others' divine treasures, the extinguishing divine mine was a consumable item. If they used one piece, they couldn't restore it. However, the power of this divine mine was extremely intimidating. It could explode a city like the wonderful Stone City, slaughtering every creature. Qin Guchuan had only 2 pieces of extinguishing divine mine. Normally, when the Heaven Temple was in an extremely perilous situation, they could use one to kill all the enemies instantly. He didn't want to attack in order to save the divine mine to have better support later. Heaven Temple didn't have a divine weapon, so this extinguishing divine mine was the lifeblood for them at the very last moment. If it weren't so strenuous, he wouldn't want to use it. Under the scolding of the other 3, Qin Guchuan had to take out one extinguishing divine mine begrudgingly. Extinguishing divine mine. Yunhao, who stayed 3 miles away from the site, discolored. He shouted immediately, "Everybody retreat for 3 miles more. We need to stay as far as possible from the Silver City." Wan Jiang discolored, shouting, "Retreat! Quick!" They all knew the dangerous feature of the extinguishing divine mine. It was the best representative of the divine exploding class. Once it was used, everything would be destroyed. Anybody who had heard about the reputation of the extinguishing divine mine didn't to wait for a further explanation. They madly ran away as if they had seen ghosts. Qin Guchuan swung his hand, shooting the extinguishing divine mine towards the 5 elements primitive realm. Longju's face became grim. It was the first time he was enraged. He used his soul to control the 5 elements primitive realm, crazily urging 5 elements power. He rose his voice. "Qin Guchuan, you dare use the extinguishing divine mine. I won't care about you guys anymore. I'm not going to defend only from now on." He used the 5 elements primitive realm to defend only, protecting the Silver City and giving Shiyan more time. Before the battle, he had told Shiyan that he would only help him to resist, and he wouldn't kill the members of the 7 ancient factions. Even when Lin Meng, Guanhu, and Lu Miao started to use the divine weapons, he didn't change his rule, as he actually didn't want to turn his back to the 7 ancient factions. No matter what, in his heart, the 7 ancient factions were the members of human clan. He wanted to use his best to keep the light of humanity. He didn't want to see people at the dead end. However, when Qin Guchuan took out the divine mine, he was enraged. The appearance of the extinguishing divine mine meant the 7 ancient factions had determined to play the game to the end. Not only killing him, they also wanted to kill everybody else in the Silver City. They didn't give him the way back. Longju couldn't press his anger anymore. His shout made Qin Guchuan hesitant. The extinguishing divine mine was trembling in the air, flying around the 5 elements primitive realm. It hadn't fallen into the realm yet. "Qin Guchuan, what are you doing? You were the most ominous person before we come here. It's the critical time. Are you about to quit?" Miarua was so angry that his face turned purple. He thundered indignantly. "That Odie isn't any good. We are trying to restrain him. He can't hurt you. He is just trying to scare you." Lin Meng coldly glared at him. "Qin Guchuan, if Shiyan doesn't die this time, you will have no chance later. Don't worry, when you use the extinguishing divine mine, we will attack with full force. The alien tribes are still out there. Do you think you still have time or another choice?" Qin Guchuan's pupils shrank. He finally made up his mind, pitching his voice. "Old Long, don't blame me. You've chosen your way. If you don't want to take care of this relationship, we won't care about you anymore." Then, the extinguishing divine mine fell rumblingly, disappearing into the 5 elements primitive realm. Seeing the extinguishing divine mine falling into the realm, Lin Meng, Lu Miao, and Guanhu had retrieved the divine weapons they had released. They stayed far away from the 5 elements primitive realm, as they were afraid of getting involved in the attack range. Although it was the divine weapon, on getting hit by the extinguishing divine mine, it would be damaged. That's why these 3 people had tried to avoid this impact. No sound was made. No earth-shaking explosion. No strange phenomenon in the sky. However, Longju standing atop the city wall spat out blood. He paled instantly, as if someone was squeezing his heart violently. He crouched, convulsing in pain. The five elements' primitive realm was connected with his soul. Under people's attentive looks, it shattered like a torn sheet of fabric. An energy shockwave expanded in people's heart. Many low-realm warriors fell, blood trickling from the 7 holes on their faces. The five elements' primitive realm was ripped into pieces. Light glowed, as small light dots were sparkling and shaking, releasing the aura of formidable energy. Longju was shaken, falling on the ground, his face grimaced. The rigid outer wall of the utmost 8 Purgatory city turned into stone chips when the light dots touched it. The wind blew them away immediately. The entire massive outer city with barriers, restraints, and formations, all made by many people's effort, turned into dust instantly. While the dust was scattering with the wind, earth-shaking explosions reverberated, hitting people's souls. A strong earthquake happened right where Lin Ming and Yun Hao were standing. The firm ground cracked, as if someone were trying to tear it apart. Longju tried using the last beam of his energy in an attempt to build the five elements' primitive realm one more time. At this moment, Lin Ming, Lu Miao, and Guan, who had manipulated their divine weapons the second time, to prevent the five-element power from gathering with each other. At this moment, the most mysterious Odie of the divine Great Land was covered in blood, as if his face was destroyed. He looked pathetically feeble, and his soul got damaged badly. Why does he need to do that? Sigh. Yenka sighed deeply, her face begrudging. She felt sad because of Longju's situation. She knew that even if Longju didn't die, it would take him a lot of effort to recover. Move. Now. As the city wall was destroyed, many passages appeared in the direction of the city center. Tian Emperor and Di Shan's group disappeared into the passage immediately, as fast as lightning. Yan supported Longju's himself with a respectful expression. He pulled the old man into the city center. Little buddy, I couldn't get you an hour. I'm sorry. Longju was covered in blood, talking mournfully on his shoulder. Enough. You've contributed enough, Yan said with a calm voice. Leave the rest to me. Chapter 664. Change the structure. Chapter 664. Change the structure. Yan covered Longju while running as fast as if he were flying. He reached the city center shortly. Many warriors of the Yang family, the Dark Devil clan, the Winged clan, and Human clan were still busy adding materials into the formations and barriers inside the city. They all looked solemn. Long Ying, Li Feng'er, Yang Shui, Yang Ming. The 4 little girls were chatting boisterously, as though they didn't know about the heated battle out there. When Yan put Longju down, Long Ying glided to them while crying in fear. Grandpa, what happened to you? Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, and Li Zhengrong stepped over, bowing respectfully to Longju to show their appreciation. Without Longju, the city wall would have been broken earlier, and many people would have been killed already, leaving Yan no time to prepare. I'm okay. After 8 years or 10 years, I'll be recovered. Longju said calmly, but only he knew how serious his wound was. Warriors at his level wouldn't get hurt easily. But once they got hurt, it wasn't easy to recover fully. As Long Ying heard him say that he needed 8 or 10 years to convalesce, she immediately understood that her grandpa was hurt badly. She couldn't control her tears, sobbing. What old Long's done for us, we will keep it in our minds forever. We will follow his words to preserve the human bloodline. Yan's face was serious, standing in front of the others as if he just needed to raise his hand and pledge. Who did that? Lin Ming's team, right? Long Ying gritted her white teeth, her cute face indignant. Sooner or later, I'm going to ask them to pay a bloody price. No need for sooner or later, they will know what they have messed with shortly. Yan looked at her. Don't worry. I won't let old Long get hurt for nothing. I know who did that. I will absolutely not let them live comfortably. Long Ying nodded heavily. Yan, are you prepared? Did we make it? Longju said in a feeble voice, his face solemn. It was what he couldn't put aside. Enough. You've given me enough time. If the 7 ancient factions want to break the city center, I will make them lose half of their team. Yan's voice was calm, but the corners of his mouth show his icy cold intense. Boom boom. The vast outer city walls collapsed under the bombardment from so many treasures. All of the barriers, restraints, and formations were destroyed. Lin Ming's group was shaken. From their location, under the immense, hazy gray sky, the city center stood alone, as if it was within reach, and they could ruin it at any minute. From the beginning until now, Lin Ming, Nia Rua, and the others had consumed a lot of energy. They thought that once the city wall was down, Yan's people would be exposed. At that time, they could kill his men effortlessly. However, seeing the power of the outer city, even if they had already broken it, no one dared to be the pioneer to attack the city center. Nia Rua's eyes were as sharp as the cold sword. Murderous aura wound around his sleeves, guiding the ghostly spirit sword to sense that strange area. Ghostly spirit sword intruded the place under the hazy gray sky, circling one round. Suddenly, it made a buzzing but ear-splitting sound that could irritate people on hearing it. Nia Ruo changed his visage, shouting in fright. That place is perilous. It has so many invisible barriers and formations. The number of barriers is several times bigger than the outer city. After that, Lin Meng, Qin Gu Chuan, Guan Hu, and Lu Miao grimaced. Damn it. Qin Gu Chuan's mouth distorted a little bit, talking with an enraged voice. What kind of F***king formation has that kid built? Why is it so hard to break? If I had known it earlier, I would have come here before they finished that damn city. We should have killed them earlier. Everybody stayed quiet, as resentment surged vehemently in their hearts. Before they came here, none of them had thought that this group of traitors could be so hard to deal with. In their eyes, Yang Tian Emperor and Yan were just two clowns, and it would be a piece of cake to eradicate their streaks of existence from this world. However, after they started the operation, they found the reality was beyond their estimation. It was just the outer city wall, but it had cost them a lot. As it's accelerated to this point, we must kill them. The seed of resentment is planted. If they can grow stronger in the future, we, the ones who are present here today, can't avoid their malicious revenge, stressed Lin Ming. Yan had given her so many unwanted experiences. Originally, she didn't care much about Yan, but now, she regretted it. Everybody knew how touchy Yan was. They finally saw his potential. At this moment, no one dared to look down on him anymore. From now on, he had become their most dangerous enemy. We must break this city. We must clean them up. Nia Rua pondered for 3 seconds and then pointed at Feng Xiao all of a sudden. You go and check first. If you find something, come back and report to us immediately. We need to know what is inside. Feng Xiao, aka Madman, didn't hesitate. He laughed crazily and shot towards the city center like a rainbow. 10 miles away from the battle site. Yunhao, Yuan Jiang, and Bei Si brothers were scared. They all looked grim. It's unbelievable that Old Long stands on Yan's side. I thought he was there to only solve the dispute between the two sides. Yuan Jing's face was odd. He shook his head as he thought that he had misunderstood Yan. That kid, is he worth Old Long's protection? I can't see what good sides he has to receive Old Long's favor. In fact, I didn't agree to clean them up, but I don't want to see Lin Ming's team bearing losses. They will be the main force to counter the alien tribes soon indeed. Yunhao arched his brows. I think Old Long has bet on Yan. Although I don't know why I believe in Old Long's wise vision. Pausing for a while, Yunhao gave Yuan Jiang a deep look and muttered. It's been so many years. Have you ever seen Old Long make mistakes? Especially when it's time to consider the future of human clan. Yuan Jiang was struck. Divine light shot out from his eyes as he pondered. He was the hegemon of the fighting union, and he had experienced many things over the years. Every time Longju appeared, he would lead people to get over the calamity. Sometimes, they couldn't explain his operation. However, eventually, the reality proved that he was correct. This time, would it be the same? Yuan Jing's mind was as tangled as a messy bundle of cotton threads. He didn't dare to dig further. It's unbelievable that Yan boss is so cool. Haha. I know that whoever dares to underestimate him will bear big losses eventually. Lao Li laughed contentedly. When we were in the dark magnetic noxious mist, Yen boss realm wasn't high. But he had surprised the ones who were much stronger than him. And, in the end, all of them had to face a miserable ending. Anyhow, they're the leaders of the 7 ancient factions in the Divine Great Land this time, kid. Basie glared at him, scratching his head as he wasn't so sure about anything. So what? Lao Luan pitched his voice, shouting, Yen boss is stronger. He was at the early stage of the Sky Realm that year, and today, he has reached the peak of Spirit Realm. I long to see the day he enters the True God Realm. I always have a feeling that when he reaches the True God Realm, he will change the structure of the Divine Great Land. Change the structure? Beidou seemed like he was hit by a big rock. He shuddered, asking instinctively, what structure? Perhaps, the 7 ancient factions won't rule anymore. In the future, Yan's force will be the strongest force of the Divine Great Land. I know my assumption has no proof. However, Yan's operations always fill with unimaginable things. I believe in him. Basie and Beidou changed their countenance. Zhu Yi and Tang Yuan didn't say anything, they were all frightened. Lao Luan had wiped away the thick mist in their minds, as they seemed to see future at that moment. Tang Ji, what do you think? Ji Mu of the Radiant God cult looked at Tang Yuan. You are more familiar with Yen. Do you think he has that ability? Tang Yuan contemplated for a while, as if he were considering his words. I don't dare to make any guesses. However, that year when he was in the Endless Sea at the Sky Realm, he had troubled many Spirit Realm experts. Eventually, he had depended only on himself to make the Yang family the overlord of the entire sea. The history will repeat, perhaps. Haha, who knows? Ji Mu, Yu Ying, Basie, and Beidou changed their visage on hearing him. Haha, I think we should consider our future seriously, Basie said with a concealed meaning in his words. Beidou nodded in agreement. We need to wait for the result. As long as they can overcome the challenge of the 7 ancient factions, they will have a future to talk about. At this moment, it's a little bit early, I suppose, smiled Zhu Yi. Although they said positive things in their minds, they only had a vague hope for Yen to win this battle. They were waiting for a miracle. Lin Meng, Nia Rua, Qin Gu Chuan, Guan Hu, Yan Ko, and Wen Di were watching the immense gray sky ahead of them carefully, waiting for Feng Xiao to come back with his report. It had been 15 minutes since Feng Xiao had broken in the city. They had no information sent from him. Right when he entered the city, he seemed to vanish into thin air. Even Lin Meng and Guan Hu, the ones with powerful souls, couldn't feel his soul aura. Gradually, they couldn't help but feel their hearts sinking. They could see the city within their reach, but it was like a viper waiting in the dark to attack anyone who dared to trespass its territory. We can't wait for too long. Lin Meng suddenly shouted. The others nodded. They understood that the alien tribes were watching them. They didn't have much time to waste like this. We should attack now, suggested Qin Gu Chuan. I agree, Nia Rua answered. They rubbed their fists, taking out the divine treasures again. They started to accumulate energy, preparing for the most furious attack wave. But suddenly a light appeared in that hazy sky. That light wasn't dazzling, but everybody could see it clear enough. The object projecting that halo was Feng Zhao's head without the body. His ashen face still wore the most frustrated despair and fear, as if someone had skinned him alive, and he had experienced extreme tortures when he was alive. Everybody felt their hair raising. Chapter 665, Naked Provocation. Chapter 665, Naked Provocation. Feng Zhao's head trembled, and a light glowed slowly. People could see it clearer now. At this moment, not only Lin Meng and Nia Rua could see the head, but also could the warriors at Sky Realm and Nirvana Realm. It seemed when Feng Xiao was still alive, he had borne an extreme pain. His face was still filled with a deep fear, as if he had seen the most frightening thing in the world. It was so harsh he couldn't forget, even if he were dead already. People who saw the head felt an extreme fear swell in their hearts, as shivers ran down their spines. The raging thought of launching an attack ceased, as if someone had poured a bucket of cold water on it. Their enthusiasm vanished. From 10 miles away, true God realm experts like Yun Hao and Yuan Jiang also saw the head, their faces becoming odd. Under people's gaze, Feng Zhao's face suddenly twitched, cracking an eccentric smile. Boom! His head exploded. Blood splashed as if someone was using a brush, dipping it into the blood to write 2 big bloody words in the air. Come here. This was provocation. Naked provocation. Even if it were a stupid warrior, seeing these 2 bloody words, he could understand the malignant intention of the people in the city. Yun Hao and Yuan Jiang couldn't say anything, dropping their jaws in awe. At this moment, shouldn't the people inside that city be frightened? Shouldn't they be anxious? Shouldn't they be desperate? Why? Why didn't they seem to be afraid of anything or anyone? Lin Meng, Nia Rua, and Qin Gu Chuan seemed as if someone had slapped them furiously, stomping on their faces. They grimaced. This was the biggest humiliation they had ever received. They dared to provoke them like that. They had provoked the several thousand-years-old rulers of the divine Great Land, the masters of the 7 ancient factions. I can't help it. Nia Rua acted as he burst out with madness. He leaped up, grabbed the ghostly spirit sword, and stormed forward, disappearing into that immense, hazy gray area. Lin Meng, Qin Gu Chuan, and the others put on a gloomy and evil visage. They were hesitant. But afterward, they screeched and thundered strangely, taking out their divine weapons and jumping into that area. They didn't care about being careful, making a strategy, or the whole picture. Everything was washed away from their heads. Their blood was boiling. Their pride and reputation were stomped over, and they couldn't bear this. They forgot they should survey more carefully, swarming over the city like the barbarians with the only thought of killing. Too arrogant. Too arrogant. If they don't die, we will be enraged to death. Wen Di's face reddened, thundering. What the heck has Old Long chosen? Odie, I've been in the divine Great Land for so many years, but I haven't met any arrogant kid like him. Insane. A madman. No wonder why Lin Meng couldn't stand them. They're too arrogant. Yen gritted her teeth. Her facial wrinkle twitched in rage as a murderous intention rose in her heart. The 5 true God realm experts were so angry, as if someone had raided their ancestors' tombs. They weren't afraid of anything now, just jumping into the city to extend their slaughtering. City center. Shuryen beamed a faint smile, his face freezing cold. They come indeed. Turns out the so-called leaders of the 7 ancient factions can get frenzied if someone stabs their sore spots. Well done. Longing applauded as she felt better now. Although you look like a beggar, once you take action, you have a different charisma. I like it. Manly enough. Arrogant enough. Little Ling, your grandpa isn't dead yet. The most important thing in your life should be waiting for my permission. Don't let him charm you. He is a crazy man. I'm not going to allow you to have a relationship with him. Longju's beard convulsed as he tried to nag his granddaughter with a dry cough. However, smiling intention was sparkling in his eyes. He felt good, apparently. Lin Meng and Nia Rua had joined hands to hurt him. Everybody should be enraged in these circumstances. Although Longju was a noble and self-controlled person, he was still a human. And a human should take his revenge at the convenient time. Seeing Lin Meng's group act like a snake that got stomped on its tail, getting agitated indignantly, he felt pretty comfortable, and he could spit on them too. Might be because of his good mood, his pale face glowed a little bit. When he looked at Shuryen, he felt that he was started to like this young man more and more. Not long before, Longju was still a wild, enthusiastic young warrior. He used to stand prominently on the divine Great Land, giving a headache to so many hotshots. He seemed to return to those years, seeing the arrogant Longju of that time. In the divine Great Land, during his youth, Longju was titled the Devil Incarnate. When he got older, he became concealed and started to know how to consider the whole picture. He stopped messing around. Looking at Shuryen today, he felt he could see himself from his youth, having a marvelous feeling. I like him that way. Longing chinned up, smiling until her eyes narrowed. She threw a punch into the air, talking cheerily. Compared to him, Luo Yu and Yulu are too weak. Stars twinkled in her beautiful eyes as she looked at Shuryen. Yen Gij, you aren't married, are you? What do you think about me? Hearing her, Bing Qing Tong, Han Shui, and Li Feng Er became quite uncomfortable. Shuryen slightly shivered, but it wasn't because longing had startled him. Shuryen suddenly felt the mysterious energy rolling into his body. This was the second wave of power filtered by the mysterious martial spirit. He had guided the first wave of mysterious energy to the essence chi halo to supplement it. The second wave was stronger. But at this moment, his essence chi was abundant. He didn't need to absorb more. The Silver City had attacked and killed many warriors of the 7 ancient factions. The essence chi released from their dead bodies was massive, much more than his expectation. However, at this moment, he didn't want to use the strange energy to refine his body. He didn't have much time. Thus, he considered, and then his eyes brightened. He extended both arms, holding Long Ju in his embrace. Long Ju's senile body shivered, as a strange light shot out from his eyes. Longing covered her mouth, let out a low scream. Yen Gij, you. What are you doing? Even if my grandpa doesn't approve of the marriage between you and me, you don't need to do that. Yen Tian Emperor's group was also surprised. They didn't know why he acted like that. However, they didn't react. Only Longing was shouting, as she didn't understand anything. She thought that Shuryen wanted to make Longju agree with him or something. A strange feeling filled her maiden's heart and slowly enlarged. Phew phew. Longju panted. His pale face started to glow, as a strange vitality was surging in his shriveled body. Everybody was struck. Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui reddened. They seemed to recall some romantic memories. They blushed, their eyes watery. This is the vigorous vitality. Li Zhongrong was astounded on looking at Long Ju. He suddenly shouted in a hoarse voice. Old Long has recovered. Long Ying's soft body shivered. She couldn't hide her happiness. How come? How could it be? Shuryen put the old man down, while his eyes still sparkled smilingly. Old Long has given us a lot. I just offered him a little as a small compensation. Long Ju was glowing healthily. He turned his head, looking at Shuryen disbelievingly. He didn't say anything, but he understood. Long Ju knew Shuryen had a big secret. The mysterious energy from Shuryen had healed 1/5 of his damaged areas. His tendons and vessels had received a new vitality. Old Long, if we can continue, if we have enough time, I can help you recover as before. Shuryen cracked a smile. Long Ju was struck. His senile face was filled with joy and astonishment as he gazed at Shuryen. I was not wrong. Haha, I chose the correct path. I suddenly could confirm resolutely that we will be all right this time. We all will be safe and sound. Shuryen just smiled and didn't say anything. Rumble rumble. However, explosions reverberated from outside the city center. Lin Meng and Nia Rua gradually appeared. They were furiously attacking the city with the divine treasures. Everybody still sank in the big fear. They discolored, but the fighting will arose in their eyes. Never underestimate them. Shuryen, you must be careful. Yen Ku and Wen Di aren't easy to deal with. Be careful, Long Ju advised. Okay, I know how mighty they are. I'm not too stupid to fight face to face with them. I will wear out their power. Wait until they are weakened and tired out, then I will give them a big surprise. The edge of the perpetual night forest. Bao Ao looked at the magic mirror floating in the sky, beaming a faint smile. They've started. They do want to kill each other. Excellent. Leaders of other alien tribes grinned fiendishly. We can start now. Wait until we arrive. It's time to clean up everything. Bao Ao nodded, then signaled the demon clan's hotshots. Move. Wait a second. At this moment, Komaros suddenly shouted. Should we greet the owner of the perpetual night forest first? Bao Ao and Jia Jia halted. Xian Ming's the owner of this forest, the sage of the monster clan. If we trespass this place without telling him, the others won't notice, but it's Xian Ming. I suppose we should pay him a visit. Komaros explained, his face grim. Monster clan's one of us. Although Xianming rarely shows himself, I think he still pays attention. At least, we need to know his attitude. That old man isn't easy to talk with. All right, Bao Ao nodded. Xianming's reputation has spread far enough. I also admire him. We should visit him then. Leaders of the other 4 clans also agreed. They discussed a little bit and then changed the direction, heading towards Xianming's black pool. Chapter 666, The Utmost 8. Chapter 666, The Utmost 8. Bao Ao, Jiaji, and the 4 other leaders came to the black pool. They frowned, looking at the murmuring black water in the pool. The thick black smoke hovering year-round above the black pool was drawn away. The pool was quiet. They didn't see any spiritual qi moving or anything strange. However, right in the middle of the pool hovered a line. Do not damage wantonly. Apparently, Xianming wasn't here. He just left them a thought, as if he had known beforehand these people would visit him. Comoros' face was as cold as water. He pointed his left index finger. A light circle rippled, entering the center of the pool and touching the line. Shortly, a flow of soul energy twirled around his soul like a snake, trying to drag his soul into the pool. That soul energy carried an intent domain of forbidding, which could enter deep into people's soul and restrain it. Comoros was good at using soul techniques, but his soul was still restrained. He suddenly felt chilled, as if many snowflakes were covering his body. His consciousness became hazy. Bao Ao and Jiaji, the leaders of the 2 ancient families of the Demon Clan, could see the fear in the other's eyes. The Monster Clan wasn't good at using soul techniques. Everybody knew it. According to common sense, even if Xianming had supernatural abilities, he could never restrain Comoros. Moreover, it wasn't he attacking himself, it was just a soul intent domain he had left. Comoros' soul was subdued so much that he couldn't wiggle even a bit. From deep inside the eyes of the Dark Spirit Clan's leader, which reflected no emotions, a rainbow-like light sparkled, shooting towards the black pool. However, when the light touched the words, it was scattered, as if a thunderbolt had smashed it down. The eyes of Kanti, the leader of the Dark Spirit Clan, were disordered. Gray fine curves appeared on his body, tangling with each other. They formed a connection with the shattered light dots, pulling them back to his soul. Corpse Chief of the Corpse Clan was still staying in his big coffin. However, he diffused a thick corpse chi, expanding and covering the black pool. Long afterward, the big coffin suddenly shook. Cracking sounds echoed from inside, as if someone was biting the bones. It was horrifying. His corpse chi dispersed and couldn't be gathered again. 3 Yama kings Abi, Tian, and Hades stood still to protect the dim halo, inside which an illusory image floated. It seemed to sense the movement of the black pool. After a while, a trembling soul flow that only the 3 Yama kings could feel was sent out from that dim halo. Yama King Abi discolored in fright. He shouted, "Xianming has taken 1 step into level 10. He understands how to use the divine domain. His intent domain can generate thought and send back to his body, even if he's 10,000 miles away." Hearing him, Comoros and Kanti of the Dark Spirit Clan shivered. Later on, their countenance restored to the normal state. The intent domain that had affected them scattered quietly. The black pool was still quiet as usual. The leaders of the 5 clans weren't so comfortable. Only Bao Ao and Jiaji could pull themselves together shortly. Their eyes were calm and dark. I have never expected to see such invincible expert of the Monster Clan in this continent. Bao Ao pondered for a while and then spoke up again in a low tone. No wonder. It's been so many years that we'd been sealed in the space cracks in the foreign land. The situations there were so harsh. Our realm and power couldn't progress, but degraded. Besides the human clan, the Monster Clan is one of the races that stayed in the divine Great Land. They've had the chance to take the energy of this rich land. Everybody nodded. Seems like we have to pay more attention to the Monster Clan. Xianming had left a thought to warn us. He didn't want to stop our operation. This means he's moderate. Jiaji rubbed his chin and then smiled. Good though. We actually don't need the monster clan to join us. They've been with the human clan for so many years. As they didn't experience the pain we had to endure, they don't have a big resentment against human clan. Be careful. Don't damage this forest too much. This place is the monster clan's territory anyway, said Baoyao. Leaders of the other 4 clans couldn't help but nod. Xianming's intent domain had shown them the dangerous features of the land of the 4 sage beasts. They should be more cautious. No matter what era it was, the monster clan was always one of the strongest clans. During antiquity time, many races had been distinct through brutal wars. Even the most intimidating clan had to hide into the foreign land to preserve their bloodline. However, Monster Clan could stay unharmed in the divine Great Land. From this point, the intimidation of the Monster Clan wasn't just vain. Xianming's mighty power had left a big impression on these people. Inside the city, the sky was immense and hazy. Countless barriers, formations, and restraints that naked eyes couldn't see were set up everywhere thickly. Deep underground, tens of thousands of materials were piled up, releasing an impressive light. Streams of energy moved through the special channels to supply the barriers and formations, which made the utmost 8 Purgatory cities stand firm like a mountain. When the True God Realm experts Lin Meng and Nia Rua got into this place, they were dragged into a strange world. There were no sun, moon, or stars. They saw no mountains or rivers, but a tranquil, boundless area. So many invisible restraints and barriers were operating silently. Lin Ming's team felt like they were sunk into a mud puddle. Invisible tentacles stimulated their meridians and nerves, making them irritated. They all had the cultivation base of True God Realm, with a tremendous power. The energy in their bodies was like the erupting volcano. A tremendous energy fluctuated from them from time to time. They could even resonate their energy with that of heaven and earth to trigger that kind of power and creating unimaginable supernatural abilities. However, when they entered this area, their senses and connection with the heaven and earth were forcefully cut off. Their recognition seemed to fall into the endless darkness. The surroundings were pitch black. They couldn't see any object or any strange phenomenon. Their soul energy was drained, and their essence chi was weakened. The vitality of their flesh body was subdued by some invisible principles. Gradually, they couldn't control their blood and aura anymore. Aging, weakening, and reducing were the functions of the barriers and intent domain in this area. They could change the rules of nature, making its energy turbulent. Vaguely, the power of the barriers, restraints, and formations at 8 different corners created 8 doors that naked eyes couldn't see. However, souls could touch them. These 8 doors stood at 6 directions, including the east, west, south, north, up, down, while the other 2 constantly changed their locations. They formed the utmost 8 Purgatory city, which was the mysterious feature of the city. Lin Ming's group could feel this abnormality. They used their soul consciousness to survey the area, reaching the 8 doors to find the way in. They were holding sparkling divine weapons. Flows of vigorous energy surged around their bodies, creating some special shields to protect them. Lin Meng came to the door in the west. She was startled, her face grim. The original universe returning cauldron in her hands buzzed, as if it had spotted something strange. A woman who looked identical to her appeared. She wore the same clothes and had the same appearance and bearing. She even held the same original universe returning cauldron in her hands. Lin Meng looked at the woman, her face coldly arrogant, as if she were the master of the divine Great Land, and everybody had to submit to her. The aura of the other Lin Meng was totally similar to the original one. Even the original universe returning cauldron was magically similar. At this moment, she was frightened. She frowned, as she thought that she was standing in front of a mirror. Was the Westgate the mirror that could reflect her soul and her true colors? Lin Meng beamed a faint smile and snorted, her eyes chilly. In front of her eyes, the other Lin Meng laughed. Her laughter was clear. She rose her hand, flinging the original universe returning cauldron towards her. Lin Meng discolored in fright. Her soft body shook as an intense anxiety swelled in her heart. When the other Lin Meng attacked, she was scared. The energy in her body started to drain quickly. Even the original universe returning cauldron felt strange to her. However, the power that Lin Meng was using seemed to come from her body. How should she fight in this case? No matter she countered or not, she was already defeated. The other Lin Meng was using her energy. If she countered her, her energy would drain faster. This meant that her power would be consumed by double. Moreover, she was facing someone who was as strong as her. She would have no chance to win. Lin Meng's heart sank. In a dark place out of the city center, Nia Rua brought the ghostly spirit sword, going south as his soul sensed. He was startled. At the south gate was the entrance of the 36 exterminating caves he was familiar with. The dark caves seemed to have many dark spirits. Nia Rua was surprised for a while. Suddenly, he found that he had turned back to the time he was still a young man. At that time, to get the recognition, he had made up his mind and gone to the 36 exterminating caves. In that year, he was just a kid who no one had favored in the Devil Valley. He just had the nascent realm cultivation base. His teacher was killed, and he had to survive alone in the Devil Valley. The girl he loved had left him, telling him he was trash. No one wanted him. He knew he had no chance to grow. Eventually, he made up his mind. He should become outstanding or die anonymously. Also, at that time, he had experienced many deadly situations in the 36 exterminating caves. However, he was so lucky to find the ghostly spirit sword, which had been lost for so many years. It was the foundation for him to become the master of the Devil Valley and receive the others' acknowledgement. He finally had the chance to overturn his fate. He always knew that if he couldn't get over that challenge, he would have perished already. And today, he stood here, when a hand seemed to stir up time again. He was about to experience the pain he had carved into his heart that year for the second time. Chapter 667, Purgatory of Heart. Chapter 667, Purgatory of Heart. Qin Guchuan walked to the south gate. In his eyes, the south gate was a small city. Silver Firmament City, the city he would never forget. His wife and son stayed in the city. His son was just an innocent infant, and he loved him much more than his life. However, at this moment, he came here to slaughter the civilians in the city. His superiority had assigned him to not let anyone in this city stay alive, including animals. Besides his wife and son, in this city, his wife's father was the traitor of the Heaven Temple. His purpose was to kill all the living things in the city, including his wife, his son, and his wife's father. It was a nightmare that never ended in his life. It had been so many years, but he couldn't forget the vision of that year. He had a never-ending regret. He had dreamed about his wife and son getting killed countless of times. It was his Mara, which had tortured him for the rest of his life. He had asked himself so many times whether or not he would kill them if he had another chance. Today, his nightmare came true. He came to that city again. Qin Guchuan stood in front of the city, blood trickling from his eyes in place of his tears. He was crying in silence. Looking at the city, his heart convulsed painfully. Mara was like a sharp saber cutting his body, giving him so many wounds. The fight hadn't begun, but he got hurt severely. Guan Hu came to the north gate. There was only one old man in a blood puddle. He had white hair outlining the face covered in blood. Deep sadness flashed in his eyes. He would never forget this old man. He was an orphan. Before he met this old man, he was just a little beggar. Every day, he had to struggle for food. He used to fight with dogs to save his steamed bun. That old man had changed his life. He taught him and brought him to the martial spirit palace so he could explore his potential. His teacher had decided to teach him, making him a successful warrior. Teacher. Tears lingered in Guan Hu's eyes. He pulled his hair sorrowfully. The old man looked at him. On the senile face, which had been worn out by the wind and fog of life, laid the deep despair. Little Hu, do it. You come here to kill me, right? The poison you gave me still nibbles me from the inside. For the master position of the martial spirit palace, you really want to do that? All because I didn't choose you. Tears rolled down on Guan Hu's face as he bit his lip until blood dripped. Looking at the old man, he clenched his fists. His fingernails dug deep into his palms, but he didn't notice it. Kill me. If you have the martial spirit fruit tree, the elders will recognize you. Isn't it what you want? Kill me. You will be the master of the martial spirit palace. The old man shivered continually like a flickering oil lamp that almost ran out of oil. But do you remember how pathetic you were that year? Do you remember who gave you all of this? The pledge you made when you bowed to me as your teacher. Is it still in your head, or you forgot it long time ago? Do you remember the joy when you followed me? Are you sure you want to do that? Guan Hu cried silently. Looking at that old man, he couldn't lift his hands. Serene, young Tian Emperor, and Li Zhengrong stood in the city center, frowning, looking at the situation outside the city center. They saw the 7 true God realm experts Lin Ming, Qin Gu Chuan, Guan Hu, Niarua, Lu Miao, Yan Ko, and Wen Di standing with bewildered countenances. This formation is so evil. Young Tian Emperor took a deep breath. He was frightened. The utmost 8 purgatories are the purgatories of the heart. Each of them will have to face the most painful choice of their life. Whether or not they can get over it, the result will still be sorrowful. Serene said coldly. To some persons, although they made a decision that year, they will still regret it for the rest of their life. If they can choose the second time, it's hard to say if they can get over that challenge. Sometimes, one could make up his mind for a painful choice in the past, but if he were given another chance to choose again, it isn't sure he could do that. Purgatories are always purgatories, Li Zhengrong exclaimed and then shook his head. If it were me, I could never get over it. Everybody would have times to make such painful choices in life. Nobody could avoid this. Some choices resulted in nothing. There was no correct or wrong there. No matter what they chose, they still had to bear the pain for the rest of their life. But they had to choose. Right or wrong, they had to decide anyway. No matter what the reason was or whether one knew it was right or wrong, one had to opt something. In the utmost 8 purgatories, what Lin Ming's team was encountering was the most painful option they had made in their life. Either destroying themselves or the true love they had, they were the choices that had given them a deep pain for the rest of their lives. They always wanted the time to return so they could have another chance to make it up. Lin Ming's team was struggling sorrowfully, doubting the choice they had made that year. What they were facing was their own heart. Yunhao, Yuan Jiang, and the others stood 10 miles away from them, their visages complicated. Among this group, Long Danqing and Shuang Yuju felt uneasy the most. Seeing Lin Ming's group, the group of true God realm experts, entering the city, they worried about how long Serene could resist. When Serene determinately left the Ice Emperor city, Long Danqing and Shuang Yuju always saw a figure occupying their hearts in their dreams that they could never wash away. Serene was in the city. He was just 10 miles far from them, but they felt he was somewhere on the horizon where they could never touch him. They wanted to enter the city. However, they understood that once they went there, the 7 ancient factions warriors would gather to kill them all. They would never show them any mercy. The reality was always cruel. They could see, but they couldn't touch what they wanted. This would leave people an ache in their hearts. Perhaps we should have left with him that year. We've wasted so much time for nothing. The glorious time of a woman does not last long. We should have given up everything earlier. Long Danqing pondered for a long time and then muttered. Shuang Yuju nodded. If we can meet him again, I will never let him go. Even if he has to die, I want to be with him, whether he wants to take me with him or not. Long Danqing nodded heavily. The group of 7 ancient factions. He Qingman and Chu Yanqing had their minds as tangles as a bundle of threads. After Yanku had left, they always tried to press down their surging thoughts. Their fortune wasn't bad. When the endless sea fell into chaos, these two had jumped into the dark magnetic noxious mist. After so many perilous events, they met Yanku and became her disciples. At this moment, their realms were all increased. They were grateful to Yanku. However, after Yanku and Serene stood on the 2 opposite sides, they suddenly hated Yanku. Thinking about the other tedious events they had experienced, they felt more resentful. However, they didn't dare to mention the friendship with Serene. They didn't dare to expose their thoughts in front of Yanku. They understood their teachers. They knew what she hated, what she liked. They didn't have any hope in her. That year, when they decided to come to the dark magnetic noxious mist, they knew someone had been famous in this land already. That man used to throw a big stone into the lake of their hearts, which they couldn't move no matter how hard they tried. That was why they came here. Little Yen, are you sure? Yang Tian Emperor frowned, his voice uncertain. Those people are all brutal and heartless. They could even kill their wives and children. I think the utmost 8 purgatories can't kill them. At most, it could hurt them. Yen was calm. But it's enough. Inside the utmost 8 purgatories, we won't be weakened. However, their realms will be oppressed. If they get hurt, they would be weaker. Yang Tian Emperor nodded and smiled. Seems like we need to battle at least once. Don't worry. After they break the Mara in their hearts, they will be weakened. Their realms could even reduce by 2 realms. The gap between our realms would be erased. Yen beamed a faint smile. Yang Tian Emperor nodded. Boom. A red light overflowed from the original universe returning cauldron. Lin Meng paled. She was weak, but she looked like a banshee killing herself, forcefully making away. Apparently, she was hurt severely. Her hair were disheveled, making her elegant figure of the past disappear. At this moment, she was more of a vixen than the rudest and unreasonable vixen. A divine light disordered in her eyes, and it seemed that her god's soul had also gotten hurt. Killing oneself would be the most horrible experience to anybody. Even the owner of the Pure Land couldn't avoid this challenge. Lin Meng had used her energy. Although she won, it wasn't an easy battle. She had consumed at least 70% of her power. Finally, she had to hurt her host's soul to get rid of the purgatory. At this moment, Lin Meng had only the power of a first sky of true god realm warrior. However, Yan's group didn't dare to underestimate her, because she still had a divine weapon. Lin Meng's realm wouldn't be degraded. Her understanding of heaven and earth had been quenched through many brutal battles. So, this purgatory couldn't weaken her real realm. That was the advantage of her Yan's group was afraid of the most. Move. Yan observed for a while and then suddenly urged. Negative energy swelled in his acupuncture points. He took the lead, dashing towards Lin Meng. Follow me. Don't leave the trail. Only staying on the trail saves you from the effects of the barriers and formations. Yang Tian Emperor's group flew out immediately. They didn't dare to linger. In a corner of the perpetual night forest, Yen Long, Shui Lai, glacial armor giant alligator, silver-winged sky wolf, and 9-headed bird were walking back and forth worriedly. Many other beasts stayed near them. They all had a massive aura. Many of them had been refined by Yen. Visible energy moved on their armors like small streams. The 5 great experts of the monster clan were watching a small black ink jade, waiting for the order which the jade would transmit. I'm sure Yen is scolding us for not being brave and grateful. This is his most struggling time, and we are hiding here without giving him assistance. No, it's not acceptable. We are the monster clan, and we aren't the cunning humans. Repaying favors is the rule we always keep. He helped us, so we have to help him. Yen Long shouted. Flames shot out from his body, making Shui Lai and glacial armor giant alligator stay away from him. Xianming Big Boss doesn't say anything. So, I don't dare to mess. But I want to go there and help him too, the 9-headed bird said with a begrudging complexion. Wait for him. Xianming Big Boss asked us to wait for him. If he doesn't say anything, we can't act rashly. The silver-winged sky wolf was calm. Don't worry. I think Yen won't die that easily. That brat is cleverer than anybody else. He has many tricks. I can feel it. As the 5 leaders of the monster clan were discussing boisterously, the black ink jade glowed. The 5 people stepped forward. Just with a glance, they started to shout and yell at their soldiers. They were about to take action. The blackened jade showed 2 words written in the monster clan's old language. Get lost. Chapter 668. Hit until she vomits the pellets. Chapter 668. Hit until she vomits the pellets. Lin Meng had defeated herself. Although both her soul and body were hurt, her realm and experience wouldn't be damaged. And she still had a divine treasure. People who could defeat the challenge in their hearts were the ones who had dedicated their lives to practicing martial techniques. They had offered their will and their souls to the martial path. These people always had a will that helped them to not be afraid of anything. As they had something to hold on, they had to get their purpose by any means. Lin Ming crossed the gate, but she was affected by the barriers and restraints, which had reduced her power massively. This gave Shi Yan's team an opportunity. Otherwise, Lin Ming alone was enough to knock all of them down. Lin Ming couldn't enter the city center just yet. The place was shining in front of her eyes, but if she wanted to get there, she had to get through several thousand small barriers and formations. She had to use her body to neutralize their powers. As Lin Ming just got hurt badly, she didn't dare to trespass the area. Instead, she took out the magical pellets of the Pure Land and swallowed them to restore her power first. It would help her prepare for the next formidable attack. At this moment, Shi Yan, Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Li Zhengrong, Bing Qing Tong, and Han Shui had reached her. They didn't say useless words, just attacking her right away. In just a blink of an eye, many secret treasures flew out from the passages. Their halo was as radiant as the sunlight. Different types of energy impacted, exploding like earthquakes, bombarding towards Lin Ming. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Ming was like a rubber ball, falling and crossing through dozens of barriers after being hit by the energies and the secret treasures. Each triggered formation blasted, releasing the seething purgatory energy from underground, pouring on her body. An orange-red gauze cloak sparkled on her body all of a sudden. Small trees started to grow on this cloak, exposing their vibrant vitality with thick leaves and branches. Each blazing red leaf seemed to carry a kind of mysterious energy. Countless beams of energy hit on the gauze cloak, but the small trees were still growing. They could see that the trees were using their branches to twine those beams of energy. Lin Ming gripped the original universe-returning cauldron. She snorted with a cold face, then gently shook the 3 legs of the cauldron. The massive cauldron turned upside down, just like a big upside-down bowl. Extremely furious gusts of wind came out from the mouth of the cauldron. They were like 1,000 wind blades that could slash any kind of flesh body. Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui were new in the true god realm. Seeing the gusts coming, they felt their souls were tied and squeezed. A head-splitting headache attacked them. The wind seized the chance and chased after the 2 women, as if it wanted to mince their bodies. Traitors! Lin Ming shouted coldly. Energy surged from her soft body, pouring into the big cauldron. The wind from the cauldron became fiercer. Watch out! Li Zhengrong's face changed dramatically. A storage ring glowed in his finger as an ash-gray earth card flew out from the ring. When the earth card appeared, the entire land gushed out with the rhythmic beats of the earth. The card gradually expanded into a thick earth-yellow wall, shielding in front of Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui. At this moment, Shi Yan, Yang Tian Emperor, and the others were still urging their powers, releasing many seals and attacks, showering on the big cauldron. Under the fierce attack, the cauldron shook, causing the change of the astral wind's direction. Crack, crack, crack. The yellow earth wall created by Li Zhengrong's card exploded at the locations where the astral wind cut through it. The big part of the gust had deviated, but the remaining still crossed the defense of the earth wall, attacking Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui. Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui discolored in fright. They hastened to use the ice jade technique, creating a clear ice layer covering their bodies in an attempt to defend the sharp gust. Go! When Shi Yan saw the dangerous situation, he sent a flow of his soul consciousness, and the ice-cold flame flew out, turning into a cold flame cluster that covered Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui. As these 2 women hid in the passage, barriers and restraints didn't affect them. The ice-cold flame surpassed the astral winds, covering Bing Qing Tong and Han Shui. With the extreme cold power of the ice-cold flame, Han Shui and Bing Qing Tong immediately turned into 2 thick ice sculptures with a 12 meters thick ice layer. Crack, crack, crack. The wind blew the thick ice rock, causing chips of ice to be scattered. Bingqing Tong and Han Shui were solemn, urging their ice jade technique to the max to defend. The ice-cold flame assigned by Yan was constantly releasing the icy energy. It recovered the damaged area, which kept the ice wall from being broken shortly. At this moment, Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, and Li Zhengrong were attacking the cauldron furiously. Storage rings on Li Zhengrong's fingers released several different colored lights. Spirit-grade secret treasures rumblingly shot toward the cauldron. Di Shan's black wings moved slightly as strange explosions echoed. His feathers darted out like arrows with black flames, coiling around Lin Meng's small hand, which was holding the original universe-returning cauldron. Yang Tian Emperor bit his lips. A ruby drop of immortal blood carrying a tremendous aura shot out, bringing the intent domain he had perceived in desperation. This power was intimidating. As the three of them united and attacked her at the same time, Lin Meng couldn't endure. She had to use a part of her energy to defend against these three. Yan wasn't agitated. He was calm as usual. However, flames of anger appeared in his eyes. Negative energy rolled torrentially in his body. From each of his acupuncture points, strange tentacles jutted out. They were materialized from the negative energy. When the tentacles appeared, his recognition of energy suddenly increased by one level. Each active flow of energy moving around, and each different type of secret treasure with its energy had become pretty clear in his eyes. The energy's intensity and features had turned into numerous lights that naked eyes couldn't observe, returning to this body through the tentacles. This helped Yan not to miss any change around him. Light dots shot out rapidly from his eyes that looked like a soul-burning flame. He didn't even blink, gazing at Lin Meng. Gradually, a red hue rose from the bottom of his eyes. A subtle recognition ran to his host's soul through the tentacle that was connected with his acupuncture point. Yan was struck with joy. His hands trembled, since he had received a heavy energy. He fiercely condensed the two extreme poles of energy. Life and death. It was time. Life seal and death seal merged, piling in the air. A death will generated from the seals, pushing out rumblingly like a real mountain. The death and life seal flashed, then disappeared, as if it had crossed space. When it reappeared, it struck precisely on the center of the connection between Lin Meng and her original universe-returning cauldron. It was Lin Meng's left elbow, which had generated a feeble energy fluctuation. Each fluctuation connected to the big cauldron and manipulated the changing energy of the cauldron. Yan had caught it. That fluctuation was the deep connection between Lin Meng and the cauldron. Once he hit it, Lin Meng would lose her connection with the original universe-returning cauldron. Crack! The death and life sea imprinted on the bone of Lin Meng's left elbow like a tattoo. A clear cracking sound echoed. Lin Meng's bone seemed as if it were broken by a steel weapon. In the next moment, the original universe-returning cauldron that Lin Meng was holding suddenly flew around, as the control was lost. It hovered and circled above Lin Meng's head without a specific target. The astral wind in the cauldron also lost its target. It blew and twirled everywhere else. Numerous wind blades cut through the barriers and formations, breaking some of them. Crack, crack, crack. The ice layer covering Bingqing Tong and Han Shui was cracked. But the cracking stopped at 10 meters away from them. Cold sweat soaked the two women as fear appeared deep in their eyes. They hastened to step backward before urging their energy again to get rid of the ice defense. Hit! Yan shouted fiercely. However, his face was calm as usual. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, and Li Zhengrong suddenly found the power in Lin Meng's body was disordered. The red-orange cloak seemed to have no energy anymore, becoming an ordinary garment. Different kinds of energies from the secret treasures fell on her gauze cloak. It appeared as if many punches had hit on Lin Meng's petite body. Blood trickled from her mouth, while more than 10 pellets that she hadn't digested yet were vomited out. They are all sacred great spiritual medicines. Yan, take them. Li Zhengrong suddenly shouted. Pellets Lin Meng spat out were as big as a broad bean, shimmering in a mesmerizing halo with vibrant vitality. They were floating in the barriers and formations like small pieces of stars. Yan's eyes brightened. He didn't say anything and immediately urged a formation. People then saw a pair of delicate small hands generated from energy taking the pellets and flying back to the city. In the center of the city, Yang Zhua, Ling Ming, Chao Qiu Dao, and Fan Xiang Yun were surrounding Longzhu. They suddenly found some pellets falling from above their heads. These pellets had surging energy, which indicated that they were all the sacred grade pellets, the best things to recover wounds. Pure Land was one of the strongest forces in the divine Great Land. As they had been in the continent for several thousand years, no one could predict how rich they were. As the master of the Pure Land, the medicine Lin Meng had shouldn't be normal. Let old Long eat them. Shi Yan's cold voice sent to them from the exploding place outside the city. Long Ying's eyes brightened. She collected the pellets as if she were collecting treasures. Smile filled her small face. Shi Yan, well done. They're all sacred level pellets. Haha, hit her. Hit her until she vomits all that she ate. Chapter 669. Changes in Earth and Heaven. Chapter 669. Changes in Earth and Heaven. Blood covered Lin Meng's face. She looked sad, as if she had lost her son. Slowly, an extreme hatred emerged in her pupils. She had stashed those pellets for hundreds of years. If it weren't the critical moment, she would never waste them. However, she had spat out 1/3 of the pellets she swallowed. They were all sacred grade medicines she had collected for so many years. They were the treasures of the Pure Land. She hadn't absorbed the energy from the pellets yet, and she was walloped enough to make her vomit them out. It was a slap on her face which struck dozens of times. It was so hard to press such pain and rage. Lin Ming felt as if she wanted to burst out crazy. However, what got on her nerves badly was the disconnection between her and the original universe returning cauldron. At this moment, Shi Yan, Yang Tian Emperor, and the others were swarming towards her. They were about to risk their lives against her. Without the original universe returning cauldron, she couldn't depend on her realm to perform the subtle attacks. Now, she could only depend on the remaining energy in her body. However, she had just swallowed the pellets and hadn't absorbed the energy from them yet. At this moment, her power was weakest. Shi Yan's group had seized the chance. They didn't hesitate to attack her maliciously. Different miraculous powers that looked like different halos covered Lin Meng's petite body shortly. She was like a leaf boat in the seething ocean. Dangers were everywhere, and the seawater could devour her at any minute. Nia Rua had experienced the challenge of the 36 exterminating caves again. After he could finally get rid of the Mara, he was physically and mentally exhausted. Just like that year, he was tired out like a panting dog. His vitality was worn out. He collapsed at the entrance of the caves. 36 ghostly spirits of the ghostly spirit sword were releasing their evil energy constantly to supplement his consumed energy. Typically, he always supplied his blood and flesh to these 36 ghostly spirits. If this case happened, it was only in one situation. He had no essence chi anymore. To break that mental challenge, he had to spend a bloody price. When Lin Meng got rid of her challenge, she had consumed 2/3 of her energy, and her soul got hurt. In his case, he lost it all. The essence chi halo in his body disappeared completely, with nothing remaining. Even his soul was like a dried well. Seemed like his soul was about to vanish. He was lucky that he had spent so many years to feed the 36 ghostly spirits with his blood and flesh. At the most critical moment, this divine weapon started to give him back part of power he had contributed to them. Nia Rua stood up, getting into the south gate. At first glance, he saw Lin Meng with blood covering her face. The original universe returning cauldron seemed to have turned into an unowned object. It was floating above her, but it couldn't help her with anything. Nia Rua's heart sank. He revealed his fright for the first time. Shi Yan. Was he really that dangerous? Lin Meng was the strongest among them. Looking at her distressed appearance, he understood that she had endured hardships. What was that kid's profile? How could he do that? Nia Rua suddenly regretted. He regretted that he didn't put Lai Feng's reminder in mind, and was so stubborn with his idea. Lai Feng was his disciple. However, Lai Feng's experience was totally different from his. That kid was an inborn genius of the Devil Valley. Lai Feng's natural endowment was several times better than his. His sensibility was somehow really precise. Also, he was lucky enough that he had met almost no obstacles on his cultivating way. From deep in his heart, he was jealous of this disciple, because the way he had taken to become the master of the Devil Valley was full of dangers at each step. More importantly, Lai Feng had a unique point of view towards a situation. Later on, the reality proved his assumptions were all correct. This was different from Niarua. It seemed each decision he made was correct. However, it often turned out badly with many troubles. Lai Feng used to tell him that Shurian wasn't an easy opponent. In the future, this guy might become the overlord of a place in the divine Great Land. He could surpass Lin Meng soon. But he didn't believe him. Niarua had always had troubles during his whole life. That was why he hated the innate talents, including Lai Feng, the disciple he favored the most. However, the situation was going on the track his disciple had predicted. He figured out sorrowfully that he was wrong again. He was grudging. He wanted to overturn this mess. He wanted to prove that growing through challenges for many years like he'd done was the experience the warrior should have. It should be the natural trend of the martial path. That was why he stormed forward immediately. He wanted to help Lin Meng overturn the whole sky to prove himself, to prove that his efforts during his whole life were correct. He didn't believe in inborn talents. He believed that Mother Nature was fair to everybody. Seeing the situation going on the track of his thought, Shurian calmed down. However, Niarua appearing here had broken his calm mind. Shurian slightly changed his visage, shouting, "Niarua comes. Take Lin Meng down for me." Young Tian Emperor's group tried their best. They didn't dare to hesitate, nor were they afraid of getting hurt. Their attacks became more furious. Outside the city, Yun Hao, Yuan Jiang, and the others were watching the battle in the city center. They became grimmer as they felt something wrong. According to common sense, if the pagans were gazing at them, he and Yuan Jiang should have sensed something. But it wasn't like that. He and Yuan Jiang had some surveying secret treasures. They always paid attention to any movement from 1,000 miles away. However, up till now, they hadn't detected the alien tribe's direction of movement. Something's strange. Why can't we see the pagans coming? When Yanko and when Di got here, they told us that the alien tribes were marching towards the perpetual night forest, didn't they? Yuan Jiang couldn't help but frown. Yunhao had soon sensed something strange. Hearing him, he replied quickly, "Did you feel anything?" "No," Yuan Jiang shook his head. Although the pagans didn't come, they couldn't cheer up. Quite the contrary, their moods were much heavier than before. This meant something has gone beyond their control. Seeing a situation they couldn't control, everybody would feel tense and anxious. Suddenly, a strident screech came out from Yuan Jiang's sleeve. Yuan Jiang's face changed dramatically. He put the other hand into the sleeve, as if he were trying to listen to something. His face suddenly became dark and gloomy. "What's going on?" Yunhao was frightened. They blocked the entrance to the ice and fire secret domain. Yuan Jiang couldn't endure it. His voice trembled. "The hotshots of the alien tribes. They didn't try to break in, but they've sealed the ice and fire secret domain. We can't go back." Yunhao's face was ash-gray. He shouted, "How could it be? Only human clan knows the entrance to the ice and fire secret domain. How could the pagans spot it out?" Yuan Jiang suddenly thought of a possibility, then shuddered. "Some of us have been with the pagans beforehand," Yunhao said ahead of him. His heart sank as he scratched his head in distress. Damn it. Someone is so shameless. Didn't they know that it isn't different from massacring the entire humanity? Fish mingles with dragons in our group. We have many types of people. Many have joined us from different corners of the divine Great Land. When the pagans attacked them, in a situation where they couldn't avoid death, using their lives to entice them as possible, said Yuan Jiang miserably. "Old Long," Yunha suddenly shouted. "Old Long's right. He's right. Our ice and fire secret domain isn't safe enough. It can't ensure the everlasting flame of our human clan." Yuan Jiang was struck. He seemed to comprehend the whole picture shortly. They're still fighting. They're still fighting. Yunhao's mood was agitated to the acme. Old Long was right. I know he's always right. We're wrong. It's us who made the wrong decision. Damn it. Lin Ming's team is still besotted. How could we continue this fight? We should get into the city. If Shi Yan knows the situation, perhaps he will accept us, said Yuan Jiang. In the perpetual night forest today, only this place can be considered a line of defense. The entrance of the ice and fire secret domain is blocked. If the traitors support the pagans, they will enter the domain shortly. People who stay there can only be dead or enslaved. Yunhao is dumbstruck. Damn, the alien tribes have blocked the entrance. Xuemu from the 7 ancient factions shouted in fright. His face was distorted in distress. While they were looking at the city center, many people of that crowd who wanted to kill Shi Yan had received the news. They faced the sky and yelled. Their hearts were all cold and desperate. Everybody knew what it meant. The ice and fire secret domain was the root of their survival. It was the safest area in the divine Great Land. Because of having this safe base, the human clan dared to resist the alien tribes, as they weren't afraid that the pagans could extinguish their flame of hope. However, the entrance was occupied at this moment. Only human clans members knew where the entrance was. And they had set up many barriers to prevent intruders. Unless it was one of them, other people would never find it. They knew what this meant. There were some traitors in their organization. Someone had submitted to the pagans, the spoiled humans who had joined the alien tribes to eradicate the human clan. These people deserved more hatred than Shi Yan's group, as they wanted to uproot the base of humanity. What should we do? What to do? What should we do? Anxious voices bloomed among the big crowd. Everybody was scared. They felt the helpless and desperate feeling for the first time in this calamity. At this moment, no one could stay calm. No one was completely fearless. No one was still confident. Their families and friends still stayed in the ice and fire secret domain. When the pagans intruded the domain, would they have the fighting will to counter? Who dared to attack when his wife and children were hostages? How many people wouldn't care about their families? Even if they could fight, would they win? Could they stay alive from the attack of the 5 great alien tribes? Deep despair appeared in their eyes. At this moment, they finally recognized what kind of a **TTY decision they had made. Chapter 670, Engulf. Chapter 670, Engulf. Lin Meng and Nia Rua were fighting outside the city center. When these two joined hands, Shi Yan's team had their pressure doubled. Fortunately, they had tired out Lin Meng's power a lot. At this moment, she was like a dying lamp, and the connection between her and the cauldron was cut off. Nia Rua wasn't in his peak state either. The price to break the challenge in his heart was much more than what Lin Meng had paid. At this moment, he had to depend on the energy returned to him from the ghostly spirit sword, which wasn't enough to scare Shi Yan's team. Chao Qiu Dao and the others had come out from the city to join the force to deal with Nia Rua and Lin Meng. Shi Yan's negative energy emitted terrifyingly. He now had a clear cognition of every change of energy in the surroundings, as if he had many invisible eyes. He could see every beam of energy, which could help him grab even the tiny weaknesses of Lin Meng and Nia Rua. The star execution was activated. Starlight twirled around him gloriously like the Milky Way. Using his soul to control it, Shi Yan manipulated the starlight streams to coil around Lin Meng and Nia Rua. Negative energy fiercely poured into the death and life seal, carrying the intent domain of death and life. It turned into many heavy mountains, dashing towards the other two. At the same time, he had accumulated his energy to create the gravitational field. As long as it was the energy he could use, he didn't hesitate to urge it at all. Shi Yan had a sturdy build and many different evil-changing energies. Moreover, he wasn't afraid of death. In the battle with Lin Meng and Nia Rua, he wouldn't fall to the weak side. However, his side still had Yang Tian Emperor, Li Zhengrong, Di Shan, Bing Qing Tong, and Han Shui. They were using many types of energy and secret treasures, circling the area. Moreover, this place had many barriers, restrictions, and formations that weakened them. Shiryen had soon entered the third sky of Rampage Realm. Although his soul was clear and calm, his face was ferocious, with two bloodshot eyes. Each flow of his negative energy was like a beam of light, releasing the pressure to the environment. 7 stars, brilliant world, Shiryen shouted. The light twirling around his body suddenly gathered into 7 fist-sized stars. Each star looked like a big, dazzling diamond. Moving in the trajectory of the Big Dipper, the 7 stars rotated, crossing through the chaotic energy field outside the city center. It seemed they had pulled the power of the stars in the sky to use. The everlasting star intent domain emitted from each star. The 7 stars had formed a magical formation which could connect and use the power of the galaxy. In a fraction of a second, star power from the starry sky descended. Wonderful light exploded, mingling with the mysterious starlight. Niarua and Lin Meng were trapped in the star sea. They felt like they were teleported to the outer space. They lost their direction and couldn't gather the energy in their bodies. Go! Shiryen pointed to the ground and shouted. A beast made of top-grade essence crystals soared up from underground. This crystal beast was created following the ghost hunter's true form. Scales covered its entire body with many strange, sharp thorns. It looked brutal and giant. As soon as this crystal beast emerged, it shot towards Lin Meng and Niarua. Lin Meng didn't react timely, and the beast blew her away for 100 meters. Her petite body rolled on the ground, and blood quickly covered her. The 36 ghostly spirits flew out from Niarua's hands like 36 gray chains attached to his body. Their aura was so frightening that it shook people's hearts and souls. These 36 ghostly spirits were condensed in the exterminating caves for several thousand years to gain intellect. They were the most unpredictable and evilest powerful creatures in this world. Ghostly spirits shrieked, flying around Shiryen's team. They seemed to want to feast on their flesh bodies. 6 sacred armors. Li Zhengrong shouted all of a sudden. A storage ring flew out from his finger. 6 beast puppets appeared, protecting him from 6 different sides. These 6 puppets were forged from many types of rigid metals. Although they weren't as intimidating as the War Devil, their aura was strong and frightening. When these puppets appeared, they were ready to die for their master. The fire of karma burned furiously from them as they shielded Li Zhengrong. These flames were the human flame that Li Zhengrong was innately gifted with. He had added the earth flame into these flames too. Although it wasn't as magical as the heaven flame, its energy wasn't too weak. Li Zhengrong was an alchemist. All outstanding alchemists had the human flame, which was fundamental to their career. 6 beast puppets shielded Li Zhengrong, preventing the ghostly spirits from attacking him. Afterward, Li Zhengrong sent his order to them, asking them to attack Niarua. Shiryen seized the chance. His 7 stars sparkled, surrounding Niarua together with the 6 puppets. Shiryen could see that Niarua's state wasn't as strong as Lin Meng. Compared to killing Lin Meng, killing Niarua was a better choice. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, Bing Qingtong, and Han Shui cooperated tactfully. They used many secret treasures and energies to attack Niarua together. Niarua was dependent on the ghostly spirit sword to maintain his energy. Shortly, he had to bear all the pressure for Lin Meng. Under the attack wave, he didn't dare to attack anymore, just wanting to pull the ghostly spirits back to him. He used the ghostly spirit sword to defend the attack. The ghostly spirits suddenly emitted a thick murderous aura. 36 ghostly spirits lined up around him and looked like 36 exterminating caves. They seemed to form some eccentric, evil formation. Ghostly spirit sword was a divine weapon. It could attack and defend well. When it attacked, it was as sharp as a spear. And when it defended, it was tougher than a steel wall. 36 exterminating caves were the most mysterious area of the Devil Valley. They contained the evil energy of heaven and earth. Niarua was using the 36 ghostly spirits to model the 36 exterminating caves. It wasn't just for fun. When the attacks fell into the 36 caves, they would move through all the caves. After traveling through each cave, their energy would reduce. Moving through the caves for a while, the attack energy was drained. Niarua hid in the 36 exterminating caves, and they couldn't see him anymore. However, Yan could use the formation of the utmost 8 Purgatory city to locate Niarua precisely. He knew that Niarua was constantly changing his position. He never stopped at a cave for more than a minute. It was a divine weapon indeed. Niarua had his mind interlinked with the ghostly spirit sword, and he had nurtured it with his own blood and flesh. At this critical moment, even if he were a dying flame, it was still hard enough to kill him. Suddenly, Yan's team didn't know where they should attack him. From the other side, the crystal beast was still bombarding Lin Meng. That beast had a flow of Yan's soul, so it could control the barriers and formations of this utmost 8 Purgatory city. While fighting with Lin Meng, it often used the power of the barriers exquisitely. As Lin Meng had to struggle to resist the crystal beast, she couldn't create any threat to Yan. Divine weapon? Yan frowned, looking at the miracle of the Devil Valley. He found that he couldn't attack the 36 exterminating caves or force Niarua to show himself. At this moment, Qin Gu Chuan, Guan Hu, and Lu Miao had reached the critical time. They could break the mental challenge to get out at any minute. If they couldn't knock Niarua and Lin Meng down shortly, once Qin Gu Chuan, Guan Hu, and Lu Miao got here, Yan's team couldn't resist this force. They didn't have much time. Staying quiet for 3 seconds, Yan gazed at the blood vein ring, the ring that had brought him so many miracles at the most critical times. He got this precious treasure right when he had just entered the Grace mainland, a spiritual treasure that he couldn't understand. Help me break the exterminating caves. Yan sent his thought to the blood vein ring, then flung it towards the 36 exterminating caves created by Niarua. He didn't consider much, since he knew the blood vein ring contained a mysterious soul. It was the ring spirit which had a life, and was actually a high-grade life. Although Yan had never talked to that living being, he knew it existed. Moreover, it was super strong. The blood vein ring turned into a blood light falling into the exterminating caves under Yan's pushing power. Suddenly, the connection between him and the blood vein ring disappeared. He didn't know whether it was the effect of the exterminating caves or the blood vein ring had gathered all of its energy and temporarily cut the connection with him. In short, although he was the master of the utmost 8 Purgatory city, he couldn't locate the blood vein ring. However, Yan still sensed Niarua's location. He knew that Niarua changed his location continually, as if he was trying to avoid something. Yan could even feel that Niarua had seen something really terrible. Yang Tian Emperor, Di Shan, and Li Zhengrong cried in astonishment. Under their gaze, 2 of the 36 caves disappeared into thin air. Yan gawked. Divine light shot out from his eyes, gazing at the exterminating caves. The exterminating caves in this place weren't the real ones. They were created by the energy of the ghostly spirits. A cave disappearing meant one ghostly spirit had vanished. That's why Niarua was frightened. He found that his ghostly spirits had perished. Under their attentive looks, the 36 exterminating caves disappeared one after another. After 10 seconds, around 10 caves had disappeared. What did that mean? That means something could kill or swallow one ghostly spirit in each second. Everybody suddenly recalled that Yan had flung a ring into these caves. The ghostly spirit sword was a famous divine weapon in the divine Great Land. Niarua had used the sword to become the master of the Devil Valley that year. After he had fused with the ghostly spirit sword, he could swagger in the area and had almost no rival. What grade that ring was at? How could it make the ghostly spirits disappear in each second? Everybody was bewildered as they looked at Yan instinctively. Suddenly, they felt this young man was too mysterious. Eventually, Yan could connect with the blood vein ring again. He laughed because he knew Niarua was done. That man had no support now. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.